hold on, I'm just my dog out. She's out of her fucking mind. I got 4 of them, but that one's insane.
No worries, brother. As always, I have a tendency to look at this screen over here, which is opposite of you, so it's not me trying to be rude. And then 2 is
not a problem.
I got a bunch of notes, so cool. We are good on both ends.
Cool. And I don't know if people on Instagram, if you guys can hear, okay. If you can't, you can let me know. But also, it's on X here. So, are you still going by X? Like, what am I calling?
Yeah. It never changes, brother. Yeah, man. If I've let everyone know if they want to go to your stream on YouTube. If you're listening right now, there are the live listeners. If you are following Joe on Facebook, he's live streaming from his end. If you want to see it and watch it from YouTube, it's here.
I'm doing Instagram.
On Instagram. I'm sorry, and
it'll delete, or it's done once it's done, and we don't have to worry about it. Like this way, they go to your site after the fact.
Oh, as long as we get the discussion out, man, because you are a big proprietor. So let's just start off already with welcome to this week's edition of the Brushes of Doom podcast with myself here, X, and I'm here again with back again with the ever amazing Joe Capobianco. Thank you for making the time, brother.
Amazing, but thank you very much.
So let's cut to the fat, man. Right now, there is so much discourse in the world itself that the funny thing is that our little industry and world and craft and everything has had its own discourse for the past few years, but it's become more prominent in the past about, I'd say, 7 to 8 months, at least in certain areas, because it's starting to grow. And we're of course talking about tattoo schools. Now, yes. For the sake of conversation, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate, because for people that are out there that are listening that just genuinely are on the fence because they don't really know where a lot of tattooers are coming from, I'd like to get some of those insights in. And I've had a few questions shot at me. So therefore, because the thing I like about you, when you've talked to people, when you've live streamed a lot of the stuff you've done, you don't go in like balls to the wall, like, fuck this, fuck that. Like, you literally are like, hey man, let me tell you what's going on. And so you understand. And I feel like that's what's important.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I agree with you. I think a lot of people don't really have a fucking clue. People are just using this as an easy way in. This is the one thing that's been put out to them. Obviously, to get an apprenticeship, it's a lot more difficult. You know what I mean? And you have to do a little bit of research. But when somebody opens up a fucking school and all you got to do is roll up and enroll, then yeah, it makes it a lot easier. And a lot of those people don't get where we're coming from, and we're pissed off about it and the aggravation of it. But I'll let you continue, and then and then I'll answer your question.
No worries.
I on and
on. No worries, man. That's what we're here for. So, from the West Coast point of view, I've seen a lot of older tattooers, as well as, and older not necessarily in age, but definitely in how, like, the time they've put into the craft, and they're up in arms about the idea of where a tattoo school has moved in. And let's just kind of lay the base ground of what a tattoo school is. From my understanding, I've done some research on both ends, from the anti-tattoo school and the tattoo school. There are 6 predominant tattoo schools in America right now. There are 17 in the world that are running as a corporation, but there are only 2 that have been around long enough. And the number one that's really pissing everybody off is a chain.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem a lot of people have is that these schools are coming in and they are basically telling people, the biggest one, and we'll just name it right now. I mean, they can say whatever they want against myself, but the ART program, the Academy of Responsible Tattooing. For those who don't know what it is basically it's kind of like a franchise. Think of a McDonald's. Okay, they are set up to tell you, is your neighborhood or is your job opportunity bad? Well, guess what? We're here to make it better. It's not necessarily easy, but we're going to make it better for you. And by taking 3 easy steps, number 1 being a workshop, number 2 going, if you qualify after their mandatory workshop, you get to be in a certification program from an average of 12 months to 2 years. And after you're done, we guarantee 100% that you get a job, because no one can guarantee anything. And that is the legitimate gist of what ART is and what most of these tattoo schools are kind of pushing out. So I'll let you take it from there.
So yeah, that's exactly it. Basically, they come at you with this. It's a pyramid scheme. I mean, for the most part, it's a convoluted. That's not even convoluted. It's pretty fucking apparent. It's pretty transparent. But it's one of those things where they come at you and they give you the golden ticket. They fucking hand you the golden ticket. You don't have to go fucking opening up dozens of candy bars or hundreds of candy bars. They're handing you the golden ticket. They're basically saying, if you want to come in, $350 gets you in the door to hear what we have to say. Now, keep in mind, most pyramid schemes, most bullshit schemes come off with, right out of the gate, we're going to let you sit in on this for free. And there's a good chance at the end of it, we're going to give you a ticket to fucking Florida. And you're going to go to fucking Disneyland or fucking the Keys. Because that's what you get. That's what you deserve after hearing our line of bullshit that you've just sat through. But no, these guys, they've got candy that's so fucking sweet. They're able to charge the knuckleheads that are deciding to come in and so desperate to get into this industry, they're willing to, they can charge these cocksuckers $350 to hear their line of shit. Their line of shit is literally, and it's the worst, dude. It's got just enough to make people want it. Because at the end of it, you get to hold a tattoo machine. You get to fucking mark up some fake fucking skin. You get to pretend you're a fucking tattooer for a short time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, at that point, it's like giving away crack. Name someone who's going to walk away and not be addicted. The only people that aren't are the ones that, A, never had the fucking money in the first place, or B, just wanted a taste. So now they know where they can buy the equipment. They know how to set the equipment up. And these motherfuckers can rush out to their fucking homes and mark up all their fucking friends, which is something that's not been, even discussed. The other thing they don't tell you is the motherfuckers that are actually teaching you in most of these classes were apprentices or still are apprentices at the moment.
Right.
So, I mean, there never comes a point where, as a tattooer, I've been doing this for nearly 25 years. Okay? February will be 25 years. As a tattooer, I have never taken on an apprentice because to me it's a huge responsibility, an immense responsibility. I'm giving this person decades of knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm giving this person, a career for the rest of their days. You know what I mean? Or as long as they choose to do it. That's such a huge responsibility, not to mention the fact that it's hard to pick the person that should be taking that responsibility or giving that responsibility to. So this school cuts all that out. Okay, and then on top of that, instead of somebody coming to the table with decades of experience, there's somebody with months of experience because they've said it in in the interview that this guy does, where it's like, oh, you've been tattooing 3 months, you're my next go-to. You're going to bring in 5 more people, and you're going to apprentice 5 more people. What the fuck is that? I get angry. There are people that I know well that have been tattooing for less than 3 fucking years. They've apprenticed 1 or 2 people. What the fuck is that about? What the fuck do you know about anything that you're bringing somebody else into this business? The only thing I could see is maybe a fear that you might hire somebody that knows something more than you do and they're working for you. Like, what other reason could there possibly be to bring somebody in at such a young time in your career that you feel capable and responsible enough to teach somebody how to tattoo? That's fucking crazy. To me, you should have at least 5 years of experience, at least, before you bring somebody else into this business, before you put a machine in somebody else's hand. What the fuck do you know to teach somebody at 3 years or 2 years? You don't know squat. I've been doing this for 25, and I feel like, and I've mixed my own pigment. I will be far from the person to say that I know everything, because I don't.
Of course,
when I came into this business, the person who brought me into it didn't make his own needles. He did mix his own pigments, to his credit. Didn't build his own tattoo machines. A lot of stuff I had to learn on my own. I never learned how to build needles, and I feel cheapened because of it. Anything I learned in this business after my apprenticeship, which was 1 month, by the way, which is a total load of shit. That's another story. Anything I learned in this business, I did out of a need to learn, out of a responsibility to know more. You know what I mean? And I still catch hell from friends that know more than me, that have more experience than I do. that have, more talent than I do. And I still catch hell from those people till this fucking day, and rightly so. Where I'm willing to accept that, I'm willing to realize that I fucked up, or I don't know enough, or I should have learned more. I understand that. How many people can say that? How many people, like these knuckleheads that are taking on apprentices after 1 or 2 years of fucking of tattooing, what do they know? And now you throw a school in there whose bottom line is literally nothing more than dollars and cents. This has nothing to do with increasing education. This has nothing to do with bringing solid, reputable individuals to this business. This is about making money, and that's it. And therein lies my biggest issue with this school. I am the first person to say, yes, I'm not willing to take on an apprentice. So if you can get an apprenticeship someplace else, then by all means, fucking do it. But to pay somebody, especially a school whose bottom line is strictly to fucking make money. The guy has literally gone online and done podcasts himself and literally said the school makes more money than the tattoo shop does. Now, what the fuck does that say about the individuals that, A, you're bringing into this business, training, and throwing them in a fucking tattoo shop? What does that say about your shop? What does that say about the overall industry? Do we need more tattooers? Is that why you're training more people? Because your shops are just so fucking busy that you feel the need to bring more people in? Because realistically, when I came into the industry, that's why you brought people in. You brought people in because your shop was so fucking busy that you just did not have the time to handle the influx of people that are coming in. So you felt the need to train somebody the way you want them to work for you. That's not what this is about. This is about putting asses in seats that are willing to pay $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 to learn how to become a tattooer, taking the short road. And what I mean by the short road, cut me off, man, because I'm going to
go ahead. Go ahead.
Now. Feel free to cut me off.
No, go ahead.
What I mean by the short road is, instead of educating yourself, and I say this to everybody that's even slightly interested in getting into tattooing, learn about the fucking business. Don't decide you watch an episode of fucking Ape Master and you think for some fucking reason you want to be a tattooer because that's what you want to do. That's not the way to do anything. You know what I mean? Learn about the fucking business.
Right.
Go out. Get tattooed. I mean, we went to one of the introductory courses, and the first one that I actually sat in, and we did. I call it a sit-in. It's not really a strike. It's not really we're not being violent. We're not going out of our way to belittle people or anything.
Right.
But we sat in, we tried to talk to the people that are going through the doors. 3 of the people were under the age of 19. Under the age of 19, one girl had visible tattoos, little like, lettering and dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
And scars up and down her fucking arms. Obviously young, has no idea what she wants to do for her life. These people are being brought in by their parents, by their grandparents, because I guess they're so desperate that these kids need something. Let's take them to fucking tattoo school. I mean, what the fuck does a kid know? And they've done nothing to learn anything about the trade. And that's my fucking biggest beef. If you're going to do this, then learn a little something. Educate yourself. Get to know tattooers. The way you do that is by going out and getting tattooed. So if you're seriously interested in getting into tattooing, go out, get tattooed. Figure out what makes these people tick.
Right.
Find out that most of your days are spent fucking drawing, dealing with assholes, fucking answering ridiculously stupid fucking questions, doing ridiculously dumb tattoos, which, by the way, if you didn't fucking know, are going to be completely out of fucking trend inside of 6 to 8 months, and you're going to be hating your life in fucking 9 months. But the fact is, get to know all this stuff. Get to know what you're getting yourselves into. Don't just think because it's on fucking television, it's popular, it's fucking hot, this is the place I want to be. It's fucked up. It's ridiculous. That's not how you decide what you should be doing.
So carrying on with that, I think you hit a few very good points that people don't necessarily think about, and one of them is that a lot of schools, I believe, have come because I remember when I started 11 years ago, and when I was a piercer, I remember in Detroit, down the way by Inkster where Bob Tyrrell lived, they had this shop, and it was, I believe, it was like $3,000, and they would teach you everything. It was an apprenticeship of what people would charge and this and that and so forth. And there were some people who did it. There was a lot of that didn't, but The thing that I find very funny, and this is just because, like I said, this is the devil advocates part, but it's also the damn truth. You've seen it, I've seen it, everyone else has seen it, and at no point, as people are listening on your feed or mine, am I talking in any other way but the neutral flat point. Is that you see a lot of tattooers that have been like, we're gonna pick on the Midwest right now, and no offense to tattooers in the Midwest, but there are a lot that are like, God damn it, Bold will hold, Sailor Jerry, this and that, and so forth, and tattoo schools ain't nothing but scratchers. I've been tattooing 25 years. That's great, but you can't pull a line to save your fucking life. Your shit looks just as bad as people who have been apprenticing for only a year, and yet you hold the high horse of where you're at. So I feel that, unfortunately, you have schools that pop up and pick on those people who have a lot to say, but not necessarily a lot to show for it. It does not matter how much time you've been tattooing if you've done nothing with that time. And they look at the people that are in those areas and are like, you know what? You're good enough to come here because we can show you something better. And then you have the 18, 19-year-olds, like you're saying, who in their mind, they have no idea. I mean, at 19 years old, I had no fucking idea what I wanted to do. I only got into the tattoo shop that I was working at when I was a teenager because these guys had been tattooing me under the table just to get their practice in. And they were like, hey, bro, you've been hanging out for 6 months. You can throw our trash for the next 6 months, and then maybe we'll let you draw. But I wanted it. I wanted to learn, and I scrubbed probably 100,000 tubes, everything. But the point being is that I feel that there is a lot of discourse for people in tattoo schools and the tattoo school in general from people who genuinely can't tattoo themselves. But for people like yourself, for people that are listening that have tattooed and have worked their fucking ass off, it is a ripoff because the number one thing that I saw in the video for the Art Academy was the guy opens up in his little fancy video, which I'm going to pull up right here. If for anyone that's on the YouTube feed, I actually have it ready to go. I'm not going to.
What's the web for anybody who's on Instagram?
Tattooschool.com, and I'm going to the just the front page. The front page of it, it'll show you.
The worst part about this kind of shit is, and this is something we learned the second time we did a sit-in, was all this anger, all this what I like to think is kind of educating people to go to stay away from these things. This is actually advertising for them. Like, that's the worst part because if I kept shut, didn't say a fucking word, school's gonna open no matter what. Now I go out there, and a bunch of us go out there, and we start shooting our fucking mouth off. We go out, and we sit in. We have fucking signs. We try to educate people and say this is a bad way to do this. This is the wrong way to do this. That's advertising for them. So either way, these sons of bitches are opening. There's no way fans are.
Well, the truth of the matter is too is that people who have no other option, as well as are younger, and this is just how I see it, is when you're put in a corner, you're more prone to lashing out and grabbing for anything you can. If you're in the middle of the water, you have people that are in this situation where today it's very common for everyone to be poor me, which, you know, I'm not trying to get into politics here, but it's more like people want to figure out what's the easiest way to make a lot of money and not worry about shit. And stuff like this, like you said, gives hope to people in a way that it's kind of just, it's a letdown because you realize that this isn't about money. This is about putting something on somebody artistically, and it's on them for the rest of your life. Like, and as you're right, we are giving them some kind of advertisement, but there are people that in today's day, just because you or myself goes, you know what, I don't want to see that, or you know what, I don't want to hear about that, or you know what, this place is bad. There are people who are naturally inclined to be like, you know what, I'm going to do it to go against the grain, which is funny because now that the whole idea of tattooing back in the day was kind of against the grain, and it was people who were working for themselves and building and sharing a craft. But now it's something that you purchase, and there's a few people I see on your feed as well as some on my end that are saying, you know, you can't purchase a apprenticeship, but people have been selling apprenticeships for a long time. They've just found a way.
Certainly.
They've just put it into this. They've put it into a package deal. Now, going real quick before we cut off onto that, where this is the first step of the Art Academy. They have a workshop where you have an introduction on what it takes if you're thinking about tattooing. plus learning the importance of bloodborne and airborne pathogens, as well as any type of barrier that needs to be put around any situation if you are tattooing, how to keep yourself clean from the client. The one thing that I have a big problem with, and this is preference, this is obviously not everyone's gig, I wear aprons, disposable aprons. It drives me fucking mad if I don't have an apron on, because that's just how I've always tattooed. But that's not necessarily, you know, the right or the only way. But these guys that are talking about it in their video, which as somebody who shoots video as well, you can clearly see them setting up their stations with no gloves on. You can see them tattooing with no aprons on. You can see them touching bottles and inks and trays with their bare hands, and you're like, how are you going to promise somebody that you're going to teach them to be healthy if you're fucking up right there on the spot? So
the video advertising the fucking business.
Oh yeah, of course. And they have actually 4 or 5 grammatical errors, which that's me just being a grammar Nazi. But
well, not a bad thing, because realistically the amount of time, energy, and money that's spent on this, it's just on face. It's just on face, because there's no balls, there's no bones, there's no legitimacy to this. This is, if you can't get the facade right, like that's what you're going on, is the facade, because there's no real soul to what they're doing. They're being, you know, most of these people are being trained by somebody who literally just started tattooing professionally. And I say professionally in a fucking loosest manner as possible.
Air quotes.
But they're trained by somebody who literally has only been tattooing for maybe a few months. Let's say a couple of years. But if your training happened from somebody like you 2 years prior, what the fuck do you have to teach me? I'm going to go out on a limb and say the moment these motherfuckers are able to make money for this guy, they're out there making money. They're not learning. They're not continuing their education. They're not. I can't say this for certain, but how many of these guys have actually built a machine? Right. How many of these guys have actually done anything besides purchase a fucking needle? How many of these guys have actually done anything besides purchase pigment?
So let's look at this real quick. I'm going to stop you right there because you made a very good point. So I'm looking at the video right now on the live feed, and we're stopping at step 1, which is the tattoo apprenticeship workshop. So it's not even the damn apprenticeship. You're learning about what an apprentice does, and they have this is day 1. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this with this kid right here, and actually I don't want to see that. Can you hear this from your end, man? Because I'm gonna play this real quick and see if you dig this. Give me 1 second.
My name is Carlos
Can you
Garcia.
hear that?
I'm a graduate of ART. Been on staff with the company for over 3 years. And I help to run the Sunday workshops. So the Sunday workshops are an experience. You're gonna come in and you're gonna experience the tattoo culture, right? Most people just have assumptions, questions. Some have never even been in a tattoo shop. So this is kind of like a window into ART and just tattooing in general.
We'll let it play for another 20 seconds.
We're going to talk about the tattoo culture, where it started, where it is, and where it's going, right? Past, present, and future. It's essential because you have to know what it is that you're coming into. You're also going to know about us, right?
Okay, so let's stop right there. So right there, the whole video itself, as well as what they're talking about, is, you know, they're showing him bending a needle. They're showing him with a machine. They're showing him being like, oh yes, this pigment matches the sun on the solstice of the 3rd quarter of the, So I mean, as you see this, they're selling it to you in a package where, yes, they're showing you the logistics of how, when we started learning, you know, when you had your apprenticeship, or when you were first starting off, we all have the same thing where we had to learn to set up a machine, take it apart, go ahead and bend the needle, and how you set up your tray. This is why, here and there. And as they're going to that, the people tend to think that setting up a tray is really, really simple, in the sense of like, well, duh, you just copy what he does and you're fine. Every tattooer's tray, yours from Russ Abbott all the way down to, I'll just throw out Andy Engel. Like, you guys have 3 different styles of tattooing, and each one of your trays is set up vastly different because it's what adheres to what you need to do. But the importance of knowing that only comes after the idea of like, well, if I use these machines, then I need to probably think about this. If I use this ink or this and that, and they teach you none of that. So you definitely have a great point when they start talking about the whole idea of these people are going in and they're getting the idea of, well, if I just put Legos together and create a box, I'm an architect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And somebody just commented on your feed, and they made a good point, which you were talking earlier, is that the biggest issue is that there is a lot of shops out there that have put in time, put in effort, but they are dirty as fuck. Now, in any profession, it only takes one bad welder to make every welder look like an asshole. You know what I mean? And in this case, it only takes one dirty tattoo shop to make everyone think all tattoo shops are dirty. And that's what they're feeding off of. That's the crazy thing, is that they're making it seem like no one knows what they're doing.
About it is, you can say that they're feeding off of it, but they're really not, because they've not proven themselves to be any better. Mm-hmm. You know, you straight up said it. And they're showing them set up their shit. They're setting up in an improper way anyways. You know what I mean? Like, so to say, and okay, here's another really good point, and this is happening right now in Pennsylvania. Somebody else asked me about the scene that's going on in Pennsylvania. ART is, from what I understand, and I only know this secondhand. I don't know this is exactly the scenario, but from what I understand, ART purchased a building down in Philadelphia, mm-hmm. in the heart of Philadelphia. And they're going to open up this fucking school and this fucking tattoo shop, and they're going to rock the world of Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania has this ridiculous standard on apprenticeships. I think it's going to be a 2-year apprenticeship, like some craziness. And I don't consider that crazy. That's not what I meant.
Right.
But they have standards for their apprenticeships. School open. They buy this building. It's in the middle of town. They try to open up their school. They immediately get shut down. From what I understand, and I don't know how true this is, from what I understand, the building is not zoned for a school. So they can't open up. They're unable to open up the school there. So what do? They go outside of the city of Philadelphia. They go to a small town just on the outskirts. A client and a friend of mine owns a shop in this particular town, and they decide to plunk down there, and that's where they're going to do their business. This guy loses his fucking mind, as well as everybody else in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, and they fight it. Okay? The whole point being is, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They really have no idea what they're doing, but they throw enough money at something, or they kind of sneak in under the wire, which is kind of what's happened here in New Haven, because New Haven's kind of it's like the Wild Wild West out here. So they kind of just sneak in and they just do their fucking thing, and they assume nobody's going to be the fucking wiser. I mean, the fact is, you know, no tattooer, no real tattooer feels that this is a good product, this is a good concept, or a good business
venture
formula.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not. It's a way to make fucking money, and that's it. And it's working. But in my opinion, this is the same thing as a fucking bank robber who's never been caught and brags about being rich. It's like, yeah, you're fucking rich because you're breaking the fucking law. You're doing the wrong thing. Everybody knows this is how it's done. You decided to not do that way. Take the fucking low road and try to beat everybody out. In the process, he's doing it, yeah. Because it's literally, like I said, it's like giving candy to babies. Nobody's going to say no. Everybody wants to be a tattooer, but they have no idea what's involved in it. And the fact is, you're being trained to do something. And by the way, there's a good chance, unless you're talented as fuck, this is the only shop you will ever be able to work in. Because I don't know a lot of tattooers that's going to hire a kid who comes in off the street and says, hey, I just left ART, hated working there, couldn't stand the dynamic, can I come here? Oh, where did you train? Oh, I trained there. I'm one of their students. Well, here's an idea. Fuck off back to Dixie. We don't want you here. We don't want to deal with that kind of person. We don't want to deal with somebody who didn't take the time and energy to fucking learn to do this properly. So, and a lot of people get all bent out of shape when they were like, well, that's an outdated way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
My fucking dogs.
It's okay. They're in a rage right now. A rage.
But people they act like this is an outdated way of thinking. And it's like, it's not an outdated way of thinking. If anything, it's a way of thinking that should truly be fucking commended. Because realistically, we live in a day and age right now where there are more tattooers than there have ever been in probably the history of the fucking world.
Of course.
There are more people tattooing for a living now, and people tattooing underground as, you know, hobbyists or whatever, than there ever have been. What the fuck do you think that does to an industry? It shits all over that industry.
Well, let me ask you this then. So, like, let's go back 25 years when you were starting. If this was around, because it's like the whole idea of cell phones and text messages. People go, oh man, you know, it's people just don't know what they're doing because of social media today. If social media were around, let's be honest, in the 70s, people would abuse it back then too. If tattoo schools were around 25 years the way they are now, I mean, would you see a lot more abuse of them? I'm sorry, not a lot more, but would you see the same amount of abuse? Because in reality, the way I see it, and this is just my personal take on it, is that for every 10 people going to this school, there are legitimately 2 people who probably genuinely care about tattooing or are interested or something, but they have no idea, and this is the only way they know to get into it. Because, you know, like you said, it's weird now that people see it as like, there's a guy on here named Christopher Piccioni. He's on the live feed, who is part of another amazing podcast, but he's not a tattooer, but he's a person who's collected for years and respects the shit out of artists, you know? And he was saying, you know, like 20 plus years ago, you used to hang out and it was a culture. Like, you would go in and you would be the underdogs. Now there's kids that are just coming in. They're like, so I really want to just get this anchor, but it's upside down because it's for me. And like, you know, like the infinity symbol going through it just symbolizes the struggle of my pain. And you're looking at this person like, you know what? You probably have a really good heart. You're just stupid as fuck because you're a kid right now. But
exactly.
But the idea being is that some of these kids are going to be drawn in by something because it's the only venture they know, versus now, like another thing that the ART comes into is their second part, which is the certification program. The guy genuinely states that this is an apprenticeship without the cleaning and scrubbing of toilets or tubes, because you need to focus on art, which I scrubbed a shitload of toilets and tubes, man. So for me, I'm like, whatever. But his point was, he's like, there's no hassle and mistreatment from tattoo artists who make you feel inferior. And it's like, first off, ball busting is 101 between people. Like you said, you still get your balls busted by friends that you've and peers you know today, as well as people in the industry. But it's creating, and I hate this fucking word, but it's creating a safe space for these people to be like, don't worry, we'll make sure that the rest of your career is okay, because me no Joe Capobianco and that fat fuck BrushesofDoom ain't gonna hurt you no more, you know?
But you know what kills me about that? The thing that drives me insane about that whole thing, and this goes right to this fucking generation of these fucking wannabes, I want it now, fuck everything else, it's got nothing to do with me. What does it take to run a fucking business? Okay? Somebody has to be the one to go in early. Somebody has to be the one to open the fucking doors, empty the fucking trash cans, mop the fucking floors, clean the fucking shit. Who thinks, okay, your mom does not run this tattoo shop. Your mom is not doing your fucking laundry, scrubbing your fucking tubes, wiping up your fucking station after you. Like, none of that happens. When people bitch and complain about having to scrub a toilet, having to fucking mop the floor, having to hang fucking tattoo flash, how the fuck do you think that happens? The little fucking fairies come in the night and they fucking hang the flash? They fucking draw the flash? They scrub the fucking toilet? No. Somebody needs to fucking do that. You've been brought on for that fucking purpose. Why? Because 2 other people who came into your position before you, years in advance, did it then. Before them, I did it, or the shop owner did it. It was his responsibility. Now, what do? You hire somebody. You bring somebody else in to help lighten the fucking load, so that you can work more and somebody else can take care of the bullshit. I've hired a manager. I pay that manager top fucking dollar so that I can concentrate on drawing, tattooing, and dealing with my client in a professional fucking manner. So what the fuck does some apprentice think that, oh, I'm not going to scrub toilets? Why the fuck not? If it's not you, it's got to be somebody else. Should I hire a janitor? Okay, should I hire a janitor? Pay them good fucking money so that you can learn the craft? Fuck off. That's insane. The idea of an apprenticeship is you learn the kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
You learn from the beginning to the end. You learn how to open a shop. You learn how to close a shop. By the way, opening and closing a shop means scrubbing floors and taking out trash.
Yep.
Tough shit if you don't like it.
Well, people tend to think
that's your fucking job.
People tend to think too is like, especially a lot of shops in the 90s had the checkered floor. You know, they had the now they have the epoxy stone and all this other stuff. You know, I remember having to stay late at night after a long day and having to strip the shit out of that out of the goddamn epoxy.
My wife just said it. My wife apprenticed like many, almost 20 years ago in Atlanta, and she said that exactly. As soon as you said checkered floor, she's like, "Yeah, scrubbing grout."
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Sitting there
you could be like.
Sitting there like an asshole and being like, all right, I finally cleaned it, and the shop owner going like, hey asshole, and he lifts up the desk, he goes, what's all this? You're all fuck. I have a funny
it's not somebody making up shit for you to do,
right?
Like that's the thing that most people like, and these schools.
Yeah.
Through a 12-hour, 6-hour tattoo.
My wife is sitting there telling me too.
Get it, girl, get it.
Well,
exactly, and she made a good point. Like, how are you gonna know to sit? Like, if you've not been able to spend your day planning stuff out, knowing full well that this portion of the day is for cleaning, this portion of the day is for drawing, this portion of the day is for tattooing, this portion of the day is for getting ready for the next portion of the day. You know, then if you don't know all of that, if you don't know how to break up your day in general, then how are you gonna know to fucking spend 12 hours on a tattoo? Like, I've got to break stuff down. How am I going to do this?
I want to share a quick story, if you don't mind. So I was working at a shop. This is probably 7 years ago. And this is when I first started learning how to paint and draw and transitioning from a piercer to a tattoo artist. And I had been up for 2 days straight. The artist that I was working with, it was his first day. I was shop manager. So like, look, man, you're responsible. We need you to get these tubes done. We need you to answer the damn phone. And if people come in, even though you're in a little room that no one can see, you better fucking say hello to these people. And the dude that we hired, we'll just call him Jeff. Let's just put it that way, because I know he's listening right now. And you son of a bitch, you know who you are. But Jeff was on. He must have been on some pills, man. But he started tattooing at 11 p.m. I'm sorry, 11 a.m. in the morning, and he didn't finish till 7 a.m. the next morning. Okay,
Jesus.
So he did the whole night. So in between this time that I'm tired, I've been working for 2 months straight. I was living in the back of the shop on a little couch, and so I'm trying to get all the stuff done. And the people in the shop went and partied. And we're like, hey, dude, we're going to come back and we're just going to party it here when we're done at the strip club. And I was like, sure, dude, whatever, you know. And they started partying in the shop later on. And I literally went to finish scrubbing my tubes, which I had 7 artists to scrub for, and autoclave and everything. And I come out and the bathroom's locked and nobody can get in. And then I go to the front, and we had an original Arthur de Gustavo piece. We had an original Fonzie piece, an original Carlos Torres piece. And there was a guy in the front pissing on the Carlos Torres piece. And I was like, oh my fucking God. So I had to run over to him and grab him, push him. He pisses all over me because, like, at this point, you're a shop bitch, man. So you're just like, let it happen. Let it happen. So he goes off. I send him out. He passes out in front. The other guys, they go and they start smoking weed, and it fills up the shop. The smoke alarm goes off. So now they're like, fuck, dude, you need to air it out. The cops are coming. And yeah. And I was just like, God damn it. And as this is happening, homeboy's still tattooing, and it's about 5:30 in the morning where he's like, I'm going to take a quick break. I need to go in the bathroom. and I need to just kind of get revitalized. I was like, all right, yeah, exactly. I go, sure, buddy. So he goes, hey, it's locked. Can you let me in? And so I had to go jerry-rig the door open. It had been locked the entire night because somebody was passed out on the floor, shit everywhere. Legitimate human feces everywhere. The dude had passed out next to the toilet, and that was a typical Tuesday. Like, that was something that you just did, but like, you didn't bitch about it. There was no, like, no matter how much I would have said it, I had to laugh it off, because at the end of the day, that shop was clean when the shop was open. Everything else happening, there's a lot of shenanigans that happened, but I mean, I went, those tubes were done. Shop was ready and sterilized. Carlos Torres painting was not messed up.
If you weren't there as an apprentice, that would have happened regardless.
Of course it would.
And if weren't you cleaning it, would have been somebody else.
And the crazy thing is that, like you said, the thing that I learned from it when I was in that position was like, fuck. Even though I had already done my apprenticeship for like 3 years as a piercer years before, this is going right back into it. And it's like opening up a shop, everything else is preparing you for a legitimate business. You are trying to not only take care of people physically and artistically, but you're also taking care of them aesthetically. You're also taking care of them financially. Like, you're taking care of everything because this shop rests on you. So when people are skipping that in a tattoo school to be like, hey, by the way, I don't want to be bullied because my feelings hurt, or I don't want to scrub tubes because my knuckles hurt, or like your wife was saying about the whole the grout, I don't want to have to do that because I'll just hire someone. You learn nothing from that. You literally miss a lot of what makes who you are and what you appreciate about a shop.
The crazy part about that is, which nobody seems to fucking want to touch on, is the fact that, okay, you go into a school, you pay X amount of dollars because you want to be a fucking tattoo artist, or artiste, whatever you want to fucking call it. You go out, you do all that. What happens when you decide to leave this fucking school? You want to do something on your own. You don't know a goddamn thing.
Nope.
You know how to set up a machine. You know how to break a machine down. You know how to do a fucking tattoo, hopefully.
Yep.
Okay? What about running a business? That's part of the apprenticeship. Everything you do is about running your business, running the guy's business, running the tattoo shop, okay? Learning to deal with clients. If all you're doing is spending your time and learning how to fucking tattoo, what the fuck is that teaching you? Okay? Which, by the way, you paid fucking top dollar for. You know what I mean? So what have they actually fucking taught you? My whole point with this particular school in general is the fact that it's about taking money from fucking people. And that's it. And it's lining somebody else's pockets, setting up tattooers to work in his bullshit tattoo shops, which I'm sure are not top fucking notch. Now, granted, I don't know this, okay? I can't say that I've been to the shop in Brooklyn or to the shop in Jersey or to the shop in Pennsylvania, but I'm going to go out on a fucking limb and say that if you have to run a tattoo shop to pay your fucking bills, then obviously your fucking shops are probably bullshit.
Well, the crazy thing is that you're completely right. Whether you're in the shop or not, they run it like a shop. Now, there are two types of shops that most people are familiar with. There is a shop that becomes a collective, and there is a shop that is an actual tattoo shop, in the sense that someone owns the shop, you pay the shop a percentage, and you go on your way. A collective is more somebody that pays rent, or they pay collectively in general. Now, this person's taking the aesthetic, or actually I should say the more financial road in business, to actually find a way to have a perpetual motion of people to pay him a percentage, to pay him a specific thing, and that's why he's making more money. And it's funny because now, as you look, I'm looking at the page, it's the curriculum, the workshops, the graduates, parents, veterans. I mean, they're appealing to everybody as like, you know what, maybe you didn't get where you need to be, but this is where you can be. And the sad truth about it is, like, I will never pay a percentage ever again in my life, unless I'm guest spotting, which is only because it's a respect thing. But I mean, I pay my part in the shop that we all run, and that's how it goes. But it's only because I spent years and years giving a percentage, and I'm grateful for the years I had. And I know that, you know what, I tried it. It wasn't my thing. I'd rather pay the full amount and just work my ass off the rest of the month. I see people who do stuff like this, and I'm not knocking on percentages, but I'm seeing this, and this guy's looking at it like, you know what? The biggest problem is we have to attack people who see dirty shops. We have to attack people who have no idea where they're going. And more importantly, this is the most popular time to be profitable right now. And it's everywhere. Anything can be influenced by anything. So as of recent, Nico tattooed Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you know, and that's going to push 1,500 people to be like, you know what? I would love to do that because then I can meet The Rock. It's like, if that's your motivation is to meet the fucking Rock rather than actually doing it.
It's this fucking fantasy.
Yes.
That we're spending day in and day out. Like, I get up every morning at 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, it's because I got fucking 4 dogs that are insane and they have to be let out. But I'm up at 7 a.m. I have a cup of coffee and my fucking iPad, and I am drawing by 7:15. And I'm drawing from 7:15 till fucking, 8:30 or 9:30, and then I'm off to work. And then my day is spent at work. I mean, granted, I'm not working the crazy hours. I'm not working 12-hour days at the shop anymore. I'm doing more like 6 and 7-hour days. But that's after 25 fucking years. If I can't do it now, then when can I do it? You know? But the fact is, every single day has been that. It's running a business. It's taking care of the clients. It's making sure that everybody's happy when they walk in the door. I'm not one of those artists, and you can ask most. I would go on the limb and say 98% of my clients are going to say, "No, man, Joe was professional. He was ready for when I got there.
Yep.
We started tattooing immediately. I was there for exactly the amount of time he said I was going to be. It's not one of these things where somebody has a 1 o'clock appointment and they don't get in the chair till fucking 6 o'clock in the evening, and then they're there at 3 in the fucking morning. I mean, kudos to the fucking tattooer that can fucking do that to their client. Yeah. I am not that fucking person. You know what I mean?
Or 25 smoke breaks.
It's because of the upbringing that I had. It was the apprenticeship, which, by the way, was bullshit. But I was fortunate enough to be brought into this business at the same time as Anthony Civarelli, and this guy Tom Butler. And meeting those two guys was probably the most important thing that happened in my fucking career, because these are two guys that are trying to learn as much as possible, same as me, and they're pushing me in directions that the guy who taught me wasn't going to push me in. He just wanted to make money, which is, by the way, exactly the same thing as this. But they've already made their money off the top, okay? I didn't pay for an apprenticeship, and that's something I've always told people. Don't pay for an apprenticeship. If you go to a tattoo shop and you've done the due diligence and the guy says, it'll cost you $5,000, walk the fuck away, okay? Unless you've got such a great rapport with that person and he's broken things down for you in a way that you know where your $5,000 is going. But realistically, like you said, you're going to work your ass off, man. There's no reason for you to fucking have to fucking pay on top of that. You know what I mean? Exactly. You want to bring somebody into the family of your shop. You're going to make money off of this kid when he's actually making money. And therein lies the fucking point. You know, okay, I have a perfect story of how this fucking works. I can say this because I fucking know how it worked. Okay? There's a guy who's working for me now, Ralph Giordano. Super fucking talented young kid. Really nice kid. I started tattooing this guy about 11 years ago. At least 11 years ago. And I did the tattoo on him, first tattoo on his forearm, and he had a bunch of other stuff from shitty work from other people. Sorry, Ralph. And he straight up was, at the end of the appointment, he goes, man, I really want to get into this. You know, and I think at the time he might have been 19 or 20 years old. He was young, just getting ready to go to college or just started college. And I looked at him, I go, no, this isn't the place you learn. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, dude, we're in a custom shop. We don't have people coming through the door. I don't have anything to throw at you. Like, I don't have the guy pissing on your fucking shoes. I don't have the fucking dude smoking weed in the fucking back that you have to ask politely to fucking get the fuck out of your back. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any of those things that are going to enrich your career. Okay? I don't have anything that's going to teach you how to become a better tattooer. I can put a machine in your hand and I can watch you do custom work, but that's not how you should learn. You should learn by dealing with clients on a regular fucking basis. You should have that dude pissing on your fucking shoes and know how to properly handle a situation, okay? These are things that, A, enrich your fucking career, okay, and B, make you a smarter human fucking being and a better businessman. Fast forward to the future, I tell him, find a local shop, find somebody that you can connect with, that you make friends with, and get that guy to teach it. Fucking down the line, he finds a local shop, gets in there, does a fucking 1 year long apprenticeship, tattoos for a fucking living, goes on a fucking television show. Fucking 10 years later, the motherfucker's working for me now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's making money hand over fucking fist, loving fucking life, I think. But he's absolutely digging what he's doing. And he got there because he fucking worked to get there. He didn't plunk down a bunch of fucking money and say, hey, where's my fucking chair? And that's not how this is done. And
well, no, like you said, the funny thing is that when a lot of people, especially if you have a true shop aesthetic, this is like the true shop that in my mind you find so few of today, or why people covet shops like yours, people like, you know, Black Ink or Tattoo Gallery or Mischief Man, all these different places. Even State of Grace is another one with Taki Horimoto. Like everybody there is a family unit. You know, you don't have to be the best of friends or anything, but most of us hang out outside of the shop. Most of us have experiences. We go out and eat. We go and do all this stuff. When a kid has a baseball game, if we have no appointments, we're down to go in and support their family. Like the thing is that you have a good meter for who someone is, how they are, and like you said, when you're tattooing that person, or when we were getting tattooed and wanted to have an opportunity, that person took a chance on you. And even if they had not jack shit to give you, they were like, you know what, dude, we're not hiring, you know, or you know what, you ain't got it, or you do, but you know, like the number one true thing I heard that I will always remember was my my coworker Raul, who is an outstanding fucking tattoo artist, and he told me point blank when I was like, I think I want to do this. He goes, "You're not an artist and you suck. Stick to piercing and learn art." And I did for 5 years. But the point is that he was honest enough to be like, I'm not trying to be mean, dude, but you fit with us. You just don't have that level yet. And
you know, I come from a different school of thought, because we recently, a bunch of tattooers, and I'd like to touch on that too.
Yeah, go ahead,
A bunch
please.
of local tattooers that are getting together because of this fucking school. We started talking about what it takes to be a tattooer, like why you get into the field, why you're doing this, you know what I mean? And one of the people said, well, you know, they're bringing in people that aren't even fucking artists. And I kind of sat back and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, he's tattooing. Like, I'm not one of these I'm not a tattoo artist. Okay, I'm a tattooer.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know that may cause rancor in some people. Really don't fucking care. But the fact of the matter is, you ain't got to be a great fucking artist to do this for a fucking living. Okay? You know what the best thing you need to be? You need to be a fucking people person.
Yeah.
I've got a handful of friends that have been tattooing for probably 15, 20 years that are not great artists. I'd go as far as to say they probably aren't very good at all.
Yeah.
Okay? But they're great with fucking people, and they can tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to, and I think this is the one thing that really needs to be said. I'm not saying that a tattoo school shouldn't exist because, you know, it shouldn't be, you know, shouldn't just bring anybody in. You know what I mean? Because I'm a firm believer. You don't have to be a great artist to be a tattooer. You know what I mean? Tattooing is tattooing. Creating art is creating art. You know what I mean? If you're a better artist, then by all means, you'll most likely be a more creative tattooer. Mm-hmm. But that does not mean that because I can't tattoo, because I can't draw, I can't tattoo. Because that's a load of shit. I know people that have made a great living for a long period of time who can't draw a lick, but they can trace the fuck out of something. Mm-hmm. And not for nothing, dude. The world we live in nowadays, half these cocksuckers only want upside down anchors, dopey fucking infinity symbols, fucking 4-leaf clovers, whatever.
Bill payers, yeah.
Whatever. Exactly. So it doesn't take much to do that. It's a skill that can be taught. Be the first one to admit that. But the love of the business cannot be taught. That's something that really needs to be nurtured. That really needs to be fucking grown. You know what I mean? And that's part of where the apprenticeship comes from. Mm-hmm. Is you find the people that you know are going to be worth it. If I hear one more motherfucker think that they want to be a tattoo, you know, I think I want to do this. You know, I think this is something I really want to. Oh, you think it's what you want to do? You want to take money out of my fucking pocket so that you can maybe get into a fucking field that will literally change your fucking life. Mm-hmm. All because you watched a fucking episode of fucking Ink Master. Or worse, you watched Justin Bieber get tattooed on fucking YouTube. Yep. That's your fucking in to this fucking field. Fuck off.
And you know what's fun? And you know what's funny is, so like I'm seeing two people that just commented on your end where it's like they're saying Pinterest tattoos or people who Google stuff. The funny thing is, we have this guy named Manny. That's the name we're gonna use. I've known this dude for 15 years. An amazing musician, but he's getting older, and things are not necessarily working out for him as a musician the way he thought they were at maybe 19. You know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, man. You know, if I just keep drawing, then I'll be the best tattoo artist ever, and I'll do this. But to him, I can truly see, because knowing him personally, that's where his heart lies. That it's money. It's money is what he wants. He doesn't want to be a tattoo artist. He wants to make money because he sees someone like myself who was in his share as like, man, you have a home, you have this, the other. I go, yeah, but I work my ass off 7 days a week, 365. You know, the thing is that, like you said, I'm a tattooer. I'm not a tattoo artist. And going back to the Google and the Pinterest thing is like, he had made a point with one of the other artists we knew and said, you know, the funny thing is things are progressing the way that I don't even know, and this and that, and tattoo schools are shitty. And this is kind of what got my gears turning with you, because you had just posted your live stream that day this conversation went on. And he goes, you know, Pinterest and Google are the death of tattooing originality. And I said, not necessarily, because I know a lot of assholes in Fresno and Bakersfield and Chico and a lot of these places that have pick 'em and stick 'em Sailor Jerry's everywhere. And just because it's on a flash sheet, that to them is a justification that is better than Pinterest or Google. If you trace, like you said, it's the idea of a comic book artist. There is a person who inks, there's a person who colors, there's a person who pencils. We are glorified inkers and color artists. 90% of the people I've met cannot draw to save their life. My personal self, I've been working hard to be a better penciler, a better person that can draw out of their head. And I'm not the greatest. I'm far from it, but at least I acknowledge where my faults are at. There's some people like this guy who's like, Pinterest is going to be the death of it. It's like, well, I've only seen you do Sailor Jerry tattoos that you've never drawn on your own, but you think that's okay.
I think what's going to eventually be the death of this, I shouldn't say eventually, because I don't think that's ever going to happen. I've been doing this for 24 years, and everybody keeps saying, oh, the bubble's going to burst, the bubble's going to burst. And I'm like, bubble's not going to burst, man. Like, it's just, I don't see it happening. You know what I mean? Mm. I really think that it's basically what's going to really hurt the business, what's really going to be detrimental to the business is lack of rapport between the client and the tattooer. Mm-hmm. Because realistically, everything in this business comes down to me and you. Mm-hmm. You and I sitting there, we're talking about what you want to get, what you were willing to wear for the rest of your fucking life. What happens now is Pinterest comes into the picture, mm-hmm. okay? And now Pinterest comes in and says, it already cuts out the fucking middleman, because you literally, I don't have to get to know you. I don't have to try to educate you. I don't have to do shit. You just showed me your picture. You fucking airdrop it to me. I fucking print the bitch up. Boom. You're fucking tattooed and out the fucking door.
Right.
That's what's killing this business. Okay? Because I have not taken the time to explain to you that the fucking dumbass saying that you want has already been tattooed on thousands of other people. It's entirely too fucking small. And it makes no fucking sense. There's no reason why you should want this. You want it because you've seen it. Go get a Coke. That's what you should be doing. Go drink a fucking Pepsi. Don't get a tattoo that's going to mark you for the rest of your fucking days with the dumb decision you just fucking made. Now, me as a tattooer, I'm fortunate enough in my career, when somebody comes into me, I can talk to them. And I can say, you really want to do this? Is this really what you want to fucking
mm-hmm.
do? You're prepared to wear this for the rest of your fucking life, knowing full well that the other 30,000 people that are wearing it got it because some fucking daffy fucking model from France got it on her fucking hand, which, by the way, I guarantee you looks like dog shit right now.
Mm-hmm.
And she can afford to have it removed. Can you? Can you live with this for the rest of your fucking days? Yes? Sit the fuck down.
So
I've taken my time to educate you.
So
if you're still going to do something stupid,
mm-hmm.
that's on you.
You were talking about that last time, which is a great thing, because you said that's the thing that people have lost these days, is that you're right. It is more of like a one-stop shop and go thing that a lot of people do. Now, granted, there are some artists out there that do have to pay bills and so forth, but you need to not get stuck in that idea of pulling from Pinterest or pulling from Google or anything and just saying, okay, this is what it is. Do you feel that it is the same when you see traditional shops who usually carry, and I'm only talking from a California experience because I've seen East California versus West California is tremendously different in the way that they tattoo, as well as North, Central, and South. But you have a lot of guys who do the same thing, like we're talking earlier. They have every Sailor Jerry, they have every traditional flash on the wall, and that's all they tattoo. And to them, they pick up sheet. I mean, do you ever remember seeing the old sheets where it's like,
fuck, my first 6 years, the second shop, the first shop I worked in had thousands of sheets of flash, and it was amazing. And I would always bring them over to Jack Rudy, and I'd be like, dude, check out this guy's stuff. His stuff's amazing, single needle, fucking. You know, and his stuff, you know, back then was incredible because you do everything with a Type 3, 7 mag, you blasted through shit, and it looked fantastic because it was meant to be that way. The one thing that, and I'm going to make a lot of fucking enemies with this one.
No, go for it.
But the one that baffles me with all the cats that are doing all the Sailor Jerry and all the fucking old school shit, it's like, yeah, dude, you just lined out with a 14 round. What's that going to look like in 5 fucking years? Like, everything eventually gets to a 14 round. I got stuff on my arm that was on with a Type 3. You can't even see it now, and it's fucking 20 years old. To me, it was always like, you know, I learned everything I did was a Type 3, Type 7, because those were lines that were going to hold up over time. And I know 20 years down the line, I've seen tattoos that I did 18 years ago. As a matter of fact, I'm redoing, or I should say I'm finishing one, and it made me rethink. 18 years ago made me rethink the way I tattoo today, because now I know, wow, that Type 3 fucking held up. Like it does. I mean, it held up as best as it could.
Of course.
The fact is, I can go into there now and clean it the fuck up, brand fucking new. If that were done with a fucking 5 or a 7, or a 9, God forbid, which people do, I used to do, what's that going to look like now? I can tell I got those tattoos on me.
There's a time where I remember that at the first shop I started at, where it was you were considered crazy if you went above a 9 or even the mythical 11 mag. Where the fuck they got the 11 mag from? But they would be like, you'd make your needle and they'd be like, dude, you're not ready for this. You're not ready for anything above a 7 or a 9 right now. And it's just like, yeah, but that's what it was back then.
When I did conventions,
yeah,
I use everything I set up was, like I said, to this day, Type 3, 7 around. Type 7. Type 5, Type 9. Like, it's the way it broke down. Okay? I remember, like, I tattooed Eric Merrill way back in the day. Like, 20 years ago? 21 years ago, whatever it is. And I got the name Joey Razors. And the reason why I got the name Joey Razors is because I came in at the beginning of new school. So we learned how to tattoo. I mean, keep in mind, we were doing, on average, I shit you not, every single day, the first shop I worked in, there was a rose. Girls would come in and be like, I want a rose on my ankle. And you wouldn't even say, hey, there's 1,000 sheets of flash. Look around. Check it out. There's a million things for you to look at. There's got to be something you're going to love. No. You know why? Because every single time you told people to look around, they always gravitated right back to the middle of the fucking shop. And there was this one JD Crow rose, okay, a JD Crow rose, this fucking big, and I fucking shit you not, no matter fucking what, everybody got that fucking rose. Everybody. And that fucking rose was done with a fucking Type 3, 4 flat, all day fucking long. And there was 4 to 5 guys tattooing every single day, and every fucking one of us did that fucking rose 2 to 3 times a day. Fucking slam. You do Jack Rudy fucking dragging this fucking big, fucking little bitty rose. Fucking Panther, little bitty rose. Like, all day long. To the point where somebody came in one day and she's, you know, I went out, I got tattooed. Mike Ledger, good friend of mine from back in the day. I went out, got tattooed by Mike. He did this little bitty rose on me, this big. He just drew it on me. I'm not crazy about it. And you look at it and you go, what don't you like? It's an original fucking rose. Well, I really like that rose over there. It's like, got something that nobody else had. I mean, granted, probably everybody had because Mike probably drew it a million times. But nobody else technically has this fucking rose.
It's like the number.
You want the fucking rose that I can tell you I have literally done 30 times this much.
It's like the number 23. It's just over and over and over and over.
It's like, what the fuck? So it's not really, I mean, it's not really different. But the point being, getting back to my original conversation, the idea was I was called Joey Razors because every single tattoo I set up was a type 3. Yeah. And Eric used to drive him fucking crazy because they'd tattoo him, and he'd be like, what the fuck, dude? Because everybody tattooing him in his shop, they're using fucking these blown out fucking 9s and fucking 7 rounds and 14 rounds, and everything's got a thick outline. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm good. I'm just going to use my type 3 and my 7 round, and hopefully it'll last, you know. And it did. I mean, the stuff held up. But I got the name Joey Razors, which kind of still lasts because I use singles, I use 3s. I use what I know is going to last the long term. You know what I mean? And that's really the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, so and that's the crazy thing is that so there is charisma, there is experience. I mean, I guarantee you have a numerous amount of nightmare stories, and that's the thing that I feel that only comes from when you actually work in a shop. The whole point of this past 20, 30 minutes is like you're vetting as well as I am is the whole idea of like you could never experience 90% of the stuff to where your name was again, Joey Razors, you said?
Yeah, Joey Razors.
That's why you can't get rid of that, man. That's so good.
No, and in all honesty, I wouldn't want to. It's not like I was known as Joey Blowouts.
Yeah. You
know? Like Storm up fucking Capo.
That's an amazing porn name by the name.
I know. It was a solid name because it meant something, and it's something to this day. Like I hold dear because to me that meant that tattoo was going to last.
Yeah, of course.
And that's really what this is about. And again, that's part of the schooling thing. I think that you lose that, and I think a lot of tattooers nowadays. I mean, we live in the world of fucking color realism. We live in the world of black and gray realism. Yeah. I mean, these are things that like time is going to tell on a lot of stuff. And again, I mean, I've got tattoos by Nico. I've got tattooed by James Tex. You know what I mean? I've got 2 tattoos from 2 different people that I greatly admire, and I got them for different reasons. And it was mainly reasons of A, admiration, and B, just to see what happens over time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because if I say it first fucking hand, then what can I possibly say? Well, I mean, all these fucking guys that are talking shit about color realism, they'd be like, fucking your Ink Master or fucking whatever. I mean, like, oh, it's not going to last. It's not traditional. Well, what the fuck ever? I've seen more traditional tattoos take a shit inside of 5 years than I've seen some fucking... I'd rather have a tattoo fall apart and look like dog shit, but easy to cover, than some clunky, banged up fucking old school traditional thing that I got to live with the rest of my life. I got to look like a 90-year-old man at 25.
And you're right, because, if you look at a lot of tattoos from 1980, predominantly because, like, right now I have this one book, Bob Roberts, and then I have a few other ones that I've bought, and just to learn a lot more of the history of the tattooers themselves, not tattooing. Because you learn, like you said, speaking with other people on the podcast, you learn a lot about people's thought process and how that came to be where, it wasn't so much open more now where there's so much information out there. But the point being is like, you're in a position where you've seen predominantly tattoos from 1980 to about 1996, that a lot of those tattoos, no matter how traditionally and bold they were, a lot of them, like you said, they didn't hold up for shit, depending on what it was, because you had a differentiation in ink, in application, in techniques, and so forth. And as things go on, I mean, I've had this conversation before about realism, is where you said last time we spoke about Freddy Krueger, and that was the best analogy I've ever heard to this day. If you get a Freddy Krueger portrait, it's the best portrait to get, because in 20 fucking years, if it falls apart, it looks just like Freddy Krueger. And some other guy emailed me and was like, he was like, if you're really careful with tattooing, and if you're like this tattoo artist, if you're like that tattoo artist, they know how to put it in the skin. And the idea between this conversation, when I was reading it, was like the main thing that people tend to forget is everything, like right now, from 2004 to when it really kicked off with a lot of the realism, to even now, you're going to have another 20 years until someone's perfected something away or done this or done that. But either way, or everybody has their spots artistically, or has their ways tattooing that is going to stick. Like you said, your threes, even if they expand, you're going to have a nice 5 by the time you're 50, by the time you're 60, versus a 14 round liner. And it's going to look like it's just a giant solid black line. And
a friend of mine just posted on my feed on Instagram. I have a tattoo from a guy named Capobianco. It's you really can't see it, but it's my pin up on my forearm. And the tattoo is about 21 years old now. And and the fucking tattoo, and I can honestly say this tattoo, when I started, like I said, tight 3s and fucking 5s, when I started to like expand, to 7 rounds and 9 rounds and 14 rounds, you know what I mean? This drew me back because I watched him do everything with a single needle, tight 3, 5 round. And looking now at the tattoo now, which by the way is fucking flawless, it's 21 years old and it looks amazing. It's one of those things that goes, I'm right. Like the way I'm doing things, I'm looking at something that makes sense. And I know it makes sense because it's 21 fucking years old. You know what I mean? And I got tattoos on me that are done with 5s and 7 rounds that look like dog shit now. And I know why. Because they were done in a way that wasn't meant to hold up for 20 years. And my only issue with some of the realism stuff, and I'm not going to say this is about everybody because, a lot of things like people need to realize it's like, yeah, man, I'm going to do this realism tattoo on you. It's going to look amazing for 4 years. And then in 4 years, I'm going to have to redo that tattoo. Or if not me, somebody else, because I don't want to be bothered touching up something that I did 4 years ago. Fuck off.
Right.
Go find somebody else.
And you see a lot of people with that. Now, this is the funny part, kind of segueing back into the school. The whole idea of everything that we've learned, all of us collectively as tattooers, people listening to you, myself, your wife, the idea is that you've learned this because you've put your time into a shop where shit and fucking gold happen simultaneously on the daily. Now you have kids that go to these shops, and when they're there, they see the new school, they see the hyperrealism, and they have nothing to back it up. The years of experimenting with different liners, different gauges. There's people that have no idea what the hell a 10 and a 12 gauge mean, and then they go off and they're like, okay, so what are you using? What do you mean? And as they go, they attack these photorealism pieces by people who've just graduated from this school, who have only been there 2-3 years, and like you said, they haven't even put enough time in their own respects to really kind of perpetuate a healthy growing environment artistically and or tattoo wise. And that is where, like, I could totally agree with you. Like you said, you're seeing all these people clash these ideas and all this stuff, and then they get to this mindset of like we had talked about this last time, the whole idea of conventions 20 years ago. You would go, 20 years ago I was going as a kid, not with a pinwheel hat or anything, but like I was going as a youngster, and I was looking at all these tattoo artists, and everyone was just pot bellied or dressed to the nines, but they were talking shit, they were happy, whatever. And then you have the occasional, hey kid, go fuck yourself, you know what I mean? But those were good times. Now you have a bunch of cholos that are going around, and as a Hispanic guy, the thing that pisses me off more is seeing some dude I've known forever, and he looks at me and he's like, "What's up, fool? Check out my Bose speaker that's louder than the entire PA system for the whole convention." And they're doing all these crazy black and gray or these crazy color tattoos, which, like I said, more power to everyone that wants to do it. But you have somebody going to a tattoo school, going to that same convention, and it's like, okay, that's how people act in the tattoo world. That's how people tattoo. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it in less than 2 years.
Well, again, that's part of the problem with what everything that's being built up in this day and age is the fact that it's not real. None of it's not. Nobody. Okay, I can say I grew up on Long Island. I was a fucking dork. I played Dungeons and Dragons. Had a fucking mullet when I was a kid. Didn't leave my fucking house till I was like 29. Like I had nothing going for me. This business changed everything about me. Literally changed everything about me. And it's not because I came into it with a preconceived notion of what direction I wanted to go. It changed me because it just happened. Okay? It dragged me out, and it fucking took me where it wanted to take me. Most of the people getting into this business now already know, oh, I only want to do color portraits. I only want to do black and gray realism. I only want to be a fucking cholo artist. I only want to do this. I only want to do lettering. I only want to do fucking black dot work because that's going to last forever. You know, nobody gets that most of this shit is a trend. If all you know is one style, you are fucked. Yep. You are fucked so hard that I can only hope that when you get fucked, you are left on the road fucking bleeding while the rest of us drive by. Yep. Because we don't need you. That's the fucking point of an apprenticeship. Learning everything. The one thing I tell everyone is do not come into this business thinking you want one thing. Because the one thing you want, A, you may not be fucking good at, which nobody ever considers, or B, it may not be the thing that you want to do forever. I mean, you know, people always ask me constantly, like, do you ever get bored of doing pinups? And my response is no, because it's fucking hard. It's never easy. It's never gotten to the point where I go, I got this. This is no fucking problem. I'm good. I'm totally good. No. Every fucking time I pick up a machine, it sucks. It's a pain in the ass. It's an uphill fucking struggle. When I pick up my stylus to fucking draw, it sucks. It's difficult. It's not gotten to the point where everything is, you know, oh, I got this. I can do this with my eyes closed. No, I can't. I can't. It's every time is a fucking learning experience. Okay?
The funny thing that you said is that hits 120% is that people go in to tattooing and they have the idea and the mindset of like, this is the one thing I want to do and I'm going to be the best at it, and never have the inclination that they may be terrible at it. the way I've learned that was from an old coworker who worked out in Fresno area. I was there briefly as a piercer, and the dude was like, dude, I make my own inks. I do this, I do that. Like he was swinging dick around shop. You know what I mean? Like I was surprised anyone could talk to him so clearly with their balls in his mouth. And the dude is like, I'm great at tattooing, and I'm just going to do portraits. So, I mean, you're just going to have to like deal with how good I am. This is legitimately what he said. Okay. The day he took a photo of his portrait that he did, I had left to work early that day. He did a portrait of Robert Smith, and it looked like a blackface 1920s cartoon that you would see in Popeye or Casper, like a Hank Ketchum. Wow. It looked that bad. He went so heavy in lines and dark that it literally looked like a blackface 1920s cartoon. And it ended up in less than 10 minutes on a Sucky Tattoos page. But in his mindset, it was like, no, I'm the best. This is what I do. And I mean, I got to give it to him for having that guff to to not knock down. I don't no. I mean, at the time, I was more dumbfounded by how pig-headed he was. But I mean, that's the crazy thing, is that you do get people now where it's like, no, how can I make a good amount of money at doing portraits? Then they get to their first realization that, oh shit, I don't know how to do this. How do I get good at pinups? How do I get at this? The idea is like, well, what can I learn? What's next? Like you said, if you're never truly growing or pushing yourself or being in a situation, a real shop versus people that you're paying to be like, hey buddy, you're doing okay, just go a little harder, versus someone like you where you're over their shoulder and like, dude, that hand looks fucked up. You know what I mean? Or you know what?
The thing is, like, and that's as an artist, as an individual, you have to do that yourself. I mean, again, a day that goes by that I don't do something like today. I did a really, I was jazzed by the tattoo that I did today. And when I sat back and I looked at the pictures afterward, I'm like, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done this better. I could have done this better. Nothing ever is perfect. You know what I mean? Unless you're trying to copy, unless you're trying to copy a photo, and then it can only be as perfect as the photo, unless you want to be an artist and actually do something better, or do something different. So where it may not be as identical to the photo, you bring something of yourself. I mean, the photo realism guys that I'm most impressed by are the ones who stray from the picture and bring a little bit of themselves, and they bring it to the point where it's like, yeah, I did that. I mean, because we live in we're in a society now. We're in a trade now where there's no knowing who's done what. Like Nico's amazing. You know what I mean? Nobody's ever going to say he's not. But man, how many people are just as good? You know what I mean? Or almost as good.
Well, look at DBK. I believe he's out in Southern California. If not, he's Russian. I know that's a really weird stretch, but Russians right now are kicking the shit out of the photorealism game.
And but why? Because these are individuals that have, like, they didn't come into this as being tattooers. They came into this as artists, and all they knew was that. And here's the thing, you know, a lot of the tattooers today in our society, in our culture, they look at fucking online. They look at fucking the internet as inspiration. Where those motherfuckers are looking at stuff as being like, oh yeah, I just spent 5 years in fucking art school learning how to fucking draw and studying the masters. I'm gonna put that on skin. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now, we'll see what happens over time. I'll be the first one to be that. You know what I mean? Impressed by it as anybody else. I mean, you can't help but be impressed by it. I want to know what that's like to live with in 5 years, 10 years.
So do you think that people that when they go, well, I know partially your answer, but I want you to elaborate if you can. What do you think with that mindset of, like you said, you're willing to see what something is in 10 years, and you're wondering because you want to push as long as you possibly can to the max of your craft on someone's skin. You know, you're aware of that. What do you think is the initial goal of these schools when they try to no one can see what I'm doing, but air quotes here, when they're telling you, we're trying to show you how to make your tattooing amazing?
It would be one thing if that were the case. The end fucking game for these schools is to make fucking money, and it's good.
Yeah,
we should get that because I can go off on
no worries, brother. Anytime.
But the fact of the fucking matter is, these schools are about making fucking money. It's got nothing more to do with anything other than that. They are literally trying to make money hand over fist. Okay. They are not trying to make better tattooers. They are not trying to improve our industry. They are not trying to improve health standards. They are doing the bare fucking minimum, putting machines in people's hands and fucking making money off of their tuition, if you want to fucking call it that, because realistically they might as well be the Hamburglar with a fucking cape and a mask, bashing people over the fucking head and fucking taking their wallets from them. Because realistically, that's all they care about. If they truly, truly cared about creating great artists, they wouldn't be fucking charging people. They'd be putting in talented fucking artists that they took the time to fucking train, that they made money off of the old-fashioned fucking way, which is they tattoo and they collect a percentage off of it based on the popularity of their fucking shop.
Right.
See, that's the thing that nobody seems to get. These shops would probably fucking fail in Brooklyn, in Jersey, in Pennsylvania. I guarantee it'll fail in Connecticut based on the fact that they've got nobody in there with any skills whatsoever that I can tell. They've got nobody in there with any kind of fucking background, any kind of fucking clientele. So they're just gonna roll into town, open up a fucking tattoo shop, and just start tattooing people willy-nilly? No. What'll make that shop is this bullshit introductory $350 a pop course that they do twice a fucking month to pay their fucking bills. Tell me that's a good business plan. The thing that drives me fucking nuts is this wannabe entrepreneur guy, whatever the fuck his name is, comes off as being like, oh, this is a great fucking business plan. Really, it's a great business plan. The fact that you've got a business that's running off of taking money from fucking clueless people who have no idea what they're getting themselves into, that's good business. I guess if you're a crook, that's great business. But realistically, from where I come from, if you're a fucking tattooer, you make your living as a fucking tattooer. You tattoo, you pay your fucking bills. You're not doing that. Your bills are being paid by taking money from dumbasses. That makes no sense to me. That's not a good business plan. That's ridiculous.
So now let's start talking about business. So a lot of a big thing that you see, excuse me, a big thing that you see a lot of protesters or people that are going against the tattoo schools are saying this is a sacred craft. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do the devil's advocate thing here because this is something that came up in conversation with a good friend, as well as something that I look at to kind of, I want to understand both sides. So where I'm at, where I'm not for the tattoo schools, but I'm also wanting to understand everything completely, is if it's a sacred craft to a lot of people, when you see them, it's like, you can't buy an apprenticeship, you can't do this, you can't do that. 99%, if you look at everyone that's jumping on Instagram, Facebook, and all these other social medias that are in the Midwest, if they're in East Coast, West Coast, you know, there's just an innumerable amount of tattoos and shops already. They fit themselves automatically in the people who are exempt from anything because it's not a tattoo school. Then there's a few people that I've heard and I've read their comments where it's like, you can't buy anything from me because it's sacred. Is something truly sacred when you can legitimately go to a website and you can buy DVDs, you can buy books, you can buy from Vans, and the number one kicker of all of it is that you can go to any convention in the entire world as long as you have cash in hand. Fusion, sorry Jared, love you brother. Fusion, Eternal, Kingpin, everybody, they will take your money as long as it is fucking green, as if it, whatever it is.
I'm not one of these people that considers it a sacred craft. It's a fucking business.
Of course, it is.
Okay, to me, this is like McDonald's. This is like if Burger King decided, hey man, we're not making as much money as McDonald's, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start selling day-old expired meat, and we're gonna sell those burgers for fucking half what we already sell them for, and we're gonna make money based on that because we're gonna get rid of the garbage, but we're gonna do it making money. To me, it's the same fucking thing. I don't consider this a sacred craft. I've already said I don't consider myself an artist. I consider myself a tattooer. You know what I mean? If I want to create art, I do it on paper. I do it on canvas. I do it on something else. Tattooing is tattooing. You know what I mean? My idea is to make my client as happy as I possibly can, create his image of what he wants on his skin, and hopefully do it that in 20 years he's not going to be embarrassed by what he's wearing. Mm-hmm. That's it. You know what I mean? But to me, what these people are doing, it's not a matter of being a sacred craft. It's a matter of they're taking a business and they're even breaking it down more so to the point where it's even more base, to the point where it makes no sense. You know what I mean? It's like they're doing the absolute least amount of work, okay, and making the most amount of money. Now, if you want to consider it from a business standpoint, like I've listened to the fucking podcast. This fucking douchebag fucking dude that runs the other podcast, it literally is like, oh, he's an entrepreneur. Why? Because the guy's figured out a way to make fucking money off of idiots? That's not an entrepreneur. That's taking advantage of a moronic fucking society. Mm-hmm. That's not entrepreneurial. Like, if you can figure out a way to get blood out of a fucking stone, that's fucking entrepreneurial. Yeah. But to fucking figure out a way to fucking make a bunch of lazy cocksuckers pay you fucking money, that's the fucking American way. There's nothing entrepreneurial about that. Fuck, you can go out in the street right now and do that.
Well, the crazy thing too is, like, for an example, there are 5 or 6 people listening right now, even myself included, when I was starting off, where it's like, let's just say if there's 6 people, 6 artists in general, 3 are for the whole, it's a sacred craft. The other 3 are for, it's like, you know what, it's a living, it's a lifestyle, and it's something I do. I agree with you. I am a tattoo artist. I'm sorry, I'm a tattooer, not a tattoo artist, because I consider an artist something to be outside of the skin. And that's not to demean anything or anyone that holds it. Like, one thing we talked about this last time that burns me so much is when I see somebody go, I made this on the skin today. I'm like, you fucking cocksucker, you know? But the thing is that you see 3 of these artists who consider it a craft. We all started in the same way, whether it's in a shop or whether it was at home or something, and we all ended up putting our time and our dues. If you had presented us in year 1 to 3, you know, and said, here's a book. I remember your book of all your paintings and your drawings that you did, and I coveted that shit as closely as I could. Joshua Carlton stuff. I mean, Steve Soto, every book I could get my hands on. But the thing was, I was not a tattooer. I was a kid living out of my van that would go to tattoo conventions. And the guy was like, hey, bro, if you got $40, if you got $100 for a book, it's yours. You know, and the thing is a lot of people on this fucking metaphorical high horse. That's what bugs me personally, is that they're talking about this crazy sacredness when it's like, in reality, if you look at our industry the way it is right now, if you're talking about the aesthetics of a sacred craft, it is not that sacred, because, I mean, you would have to look back at like the Polynesian and Asian tattooers, people that were doing tribal. Those people could look at what we're doing and be like, you fucking posers. You know what I mean? Like, you're not treating something sacred. And it goes on and on.
I mean, nobody's getting a Freddy Krueger portrait as a rite of passage.
Right.
Nobody's getting a portrait of fucking Jason Voorhees as a rite of passage. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's getting a pinup girl as a rite of passage. That's literally two totally different, two different cultures. I mean, what we're doing to ourselves is more out of entertainment, you know what I mean, and fashion than it is anything else. You know what I mean? And you can't even call it a lifestyle anymore, because fuck, look at all these people that are fucking shitted up with tattoos. What kind of lifestyle is that? Mm-hmm. You have a regular fucking job. You work at fucking Starbucks. Nobody bats an eye at the shit on your face or the crap on your hands. Mm-hmm. It's not a lifestyle. You fucking pour coffee, for fuck's sake. What kind of lifestyle is that, man? You're not jumping on your fucking hog, driving cross country, acting like a fucking crazy guy. You know? It's just, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, again, it's to me that the school's just watering everything down that much fucking more.
Right.
So to get back on the whole idea of the school and what's happening in New Haven, and this is the beauty of this. You know, 5-10 years ago, if you tried to get fucking 10 artists together, I remember in New York when it first started, they were gonna regulate it. You know, like, we're going back like 20 years ago. Oh shit, no, 24 years ago. They were gonna regulate tattooing in New York, and they were gonna license everybody. You know what I mean? And it brought a bunch of tattooers together at the health department, because you had to be there.
Yep.
It wasn't no $8. You had to fucking be there. And a lot of people bitched and complained. Some people stayed in their corners. Other people stayed in the other corners. Nobody wanted to really intermingle too much. This guy, John Valencia, a local tattooer from Northern Connecticut here, he goes and says, this is fucked up. And I kind of knew the school was happening, but I didn't know that much about it. And I'll admit, like, I'm ignorant to the fact that what's happening right now in New Haven, which is, by the way, a mile from my fucking shop, I don't know nearly enough about. Mm-hmm. I know the ins and outs, the basics, but I don't know that much about it. When they're hosting it's not for nothing, dude. Who's got the fucking time? Like, I'm fucking working. I'm trying to run a business. I'm trying to fucking create art. Like, it's tough. It's really, really, really tough. But thank goodness there's a handful of people we've surrounded ourselves with that are willing to take on this fucking mantle, that they're willing to. This guy, John Valencia, is the one who really kind of, I want to say he's the one who really kind of started it and pushed made the first push. My dog is whining like a little in the ass. Lady, call her. Alethea, go inside. Fucking pain in the ass. Fucking rant. Fucking dog's whining like a bitch. So what happened was, this guy John pulls everybody together and puts out the word, and it was literally out of a kind of a sense of obligation that I felt the need to run out and fucking do this. And it wasn't just me. I mean, the first time we all showed up for a sit-in at the shop at this school, there was literally 20. I think there was like 22 or 25 of us, and we all showed up for no other fucking reason than to fucking sit there and hopefully meet the dopey fucks that were sitting in on this class, that were going to pay $350 for this fucking class. So it was nice to see the fact that in today's day and age, something as ridiculous as a tattoo school is enough to scare the older generation of tattooers. Because, by the way, everybody who showed up for this fucking thing had been tattooing over 10 to 15, 20 years. You know what I mean? Where it wasn't a bunch of young kids. There was a handful of those as young as well. But it was mainly older generation people that have a stake in this state. You know what I mean? And that's the fucking thing that this fucking school doesn't get. Mm-hmm. We have a stake here. If somebody opened up a fucking tattoo shop up the road, which, by the way, has happened to me, up the road from my shop, I'd be fucking bent out of shape. Now, I am an adult enough to say, hey, you know what, man? I am secure in my thinking that I know full well that what I do and what the people I work with, what they do, smokes the fuck out of anything you think about on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not upset. If you get the fucking low fucking hanging fruit, by all fucking means take them. If you got to do $40, $20 tattoos to make your fucking rent, knock yourself the fuck out. I don't want that anyway. I want the people who get tattooed by me to appreciate what it is that I'm doing on them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So fuck off. Do what you want to do. Open up the road for me. I don't fucking care. But a school like this is not coming in with that intention. They're coming in with the intention of, well, we don't really need a tattoo. We're going to do these fucking classes. We're going to make our money off of that. And that's where the fucking rent's going to get paid. That's how the bills are going to get paid. That's fucking bullshit.
Well, I mean,
if you put your artist in with my fucking artist, you're fucked. The only thing you will get are the people who don't want to spend money on tattoos. Mm-hmm. And you can have them. Well,
like you said, like the crazy thing is you also have to think of it as like a beauty school versus a traditional barber apprenticeship. You know, like the people go in and they go and do these small classes. You get shoved in a room and it's like cut wigs. Then you bring people in, you fuck them up, and you learn what you got to do. You don't have the worry of doing something as a craft and of really appreciating the hands down of putting the time and effort to think about something and apply it. And the crazy thing is like you said, is it's kind of a good and a bad thing because it's also regional. And when you think about it, you know, a lot of people think that it's like, oh, you don't want new people to have opportunities and all this, but it's not that at all. It's that, like, if you think in Hollywood or you think in big metropolitan areas, there are 5 or 6 shops in the same street. Like where I'm at, we're the only shop on our street that is closest to the ocean. And then you have one street up, there's one shop. And then the next street up, which we're all within like half a mile radius, there's 6 shops. You know, but the crazy thing is we're busy 24/7. And the difference is like the competition is always good because I try to keep the mindset of like, there are great artists in this area. And I try to recommend other people if we were too busy, because to me, it's a sense of peer appreciation, as well as I give credit where credit's due. But at the same time, it's like you have to be on your toes to do shit, and you got to be able to work hard and hold your own against 30 other fucking people. But now you have these people who are coming in, and it's like you said, they're not about making great artists. It's like the whole salon thing where basically we're going to get a bunch of ghetto ass people or people that just want to come in and, you know, the people who want to support their friends. That's also there because we all have them. They're going to get a quick little shitty tattoo, and that's going to become the new norm for the 18 to 22-year-olds that don't have the money to actually just go in and be, dude, I can get this tiny little anchor, and they'll do it upside down because they don't give 2 shits, versus the shop that wants to do something.
It's that do in the long term. How many people you know are upset with the dumb shit mistakes they made when they're in their younger days? How many times do you have to touch something up or redo or cover up something that they did 15 years ago because it was a dumb mistake back then? There's somebody here on my feed on Instagram. She's asking, I think it's a girl. I'm not really
Victoria Psychedelic, right?
No, it's Tattoo 41.
No,
says, if no one is willing to give an apprenticeship,
that's a dude.
Give me an apprenticeship. What am I supposed to do? Here's a fucking idea. Okay.
Keep going with this one. I got to get my phone charger really quick. Keep going, man. I'll be right back.
Yeah. I do remind myself. Okay, here's an idea. If you're really interested in getting an apprenticeship, do not go to a fucking school. Do not go to 1, 2, or 3 shops and get turned the fuck down. Okay? The worst thing you can do as a fucking person interested in getting into this field is to walk up to a shop, email a shop, I am a fucking shop, or phone call a fucking shop and say, I'm looking for an apprenticeship. Most people will tell you to fuck the fuck off. And they have every reason to do so. The one thing people who want to do these who want to go to these schools have to say is, well, the school is offering a curriculum. What are you offering? We don't have to offer a goddamn thing. The thing you don't get is this is not a school environment. This is not something you plunk down fucking money and you get to fucking learn. The idea behind an apprenticeship is I don't want to say sacred because sacred sounds sappy as fuck. But there's a connection you make with the individual that's teaching you. Now, having said that, there's no guarantee that connection is going to last. My connection lasted 1 year with my mentor. I don't fucking care about him anymore. I'm certain he feels the same way about me. And that's the case with, say, probably 50% of the apprenticeships. Most of them go south. But the fact of the matter is you were brought through the door. You were taken in because of who you were. That means more than who you are as an artist. That means more than how much money you have. That means more than a lot of things. It's you personally. It's the fucking guts that you carry in your fucking body that's going to determine how good of a tattooer, how good of an artist, how good of a person you're going to be in the long fucking term of this fucking thing. Now, granted, these are outdated fucking ways of thinking, but they're fucking there. I am not,
and they're true.
Only one.
Yeah,
my phone's about to die.
And they're true, because the crazy thing is you see people that are like, well, I have an arts degree, or I'm an artist who went to art school. And like you said, there's a lot of trained artists that have a lot of amazing execution as an artist themselves, but that itself will never ever truly add up to the character of someone that walks in, because it's like back in the 90s, back in the early 2000s, the number one thing you did when you were looking at getting into a shop that you rarely see anymore, but it used to have it all the time, was people would come in and be like, hey man, here's some paintings I did, here's my portfolio. And taking the time, and that small interaction, you saw who they were, you got a feel for them, and like you said, it's the character behind that person. The person I'm fortunate that the people that taught me, the very first two people, I work with them today, fucking 11 years later, and I've known them both a long time. But
incredibly fair.
But at the same time, as those guys put in the time and effort with me, and even the years that we weren't around each other, it was always the same mentality of like, you got to work for it, but you also, like you said, you got to be a people person, and you can't just assume that because you want something, you deserve it. That's the biggest problem. Too many people feel like they deserve something because they've given their best, but the sad part about it is that no amount of education, no amount of charisma is always going to be better than someone else's, because if you don't fit to a shop and those people in that shop, that family, then it doesn't work. If you're in a scratcher shop, or if you're in a street shop, or if you're in something that's just bang and go and they need 30 artists or whatever, then that's fine. You don't need to get along with them. You just need to keep the boss happy. And if that's where you need to be, then I'll tell you this. One thing I've learned from shops like that, from working in one for a while, is that you better get pretty fucking clean at your lines and making everything pretty on point. But is that where you want to stay? No. So I think another big problem is that people look at where you're at, and a lot of people assume that, why isn't it that I'm not where you're at? Because too many apprentices look at it as, well, it's going to take me 5 years to get where I want. But if I go to this shop and they tell me I'm going to be an artist in less than a year, then I don't got to go through the bullshit. And that's the true thing that they're robbing,
Exactly, which is why I say it's like giving candy to babies, man. Like, it's literally it's the lowest common denominator, man. Like, to me, it's like someone who's not even willing to try to do what they have to do, or to do the due diligence to learn in a proper manner. They just want to plunk down their fucking money, get their fucking certificate, and start tattooing. And the worst part is, this company, because that's what it is. It's a company. It's not a fucking studio. It's not a tattoo shop. It's a fucking company. They are willing to hire whoever is capable of holding a machine and marking the skin. And to me, that's fucking wrong. So in the state, in Connecticut here, in the state of Connecticut here, a bunch of us has gotten together under the we're trying to create a guild, a fucking whatever.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get the health department and the state to listen to us. If not listen to us, at least consider what it is that we have to say when it comes time to pass laws, when it comes time to decide how things should change. They need to discuss it with tattooers, because so many states literally just throw it out there and be like, oh, this is how it's going to go from now on. And not for nothing, man. We all know state health departments, they're fucking bullshit. Most of them don't have a fucking clue as to what they're fucking doing. If a tattooer's not in the fucking room explaining exactly what it is that they should look for, they haven't a fucking clue. They're used to checking out fucking nail salons and fucking delis.
Yep.
They're not checking out tattoo shops. So they need us. But the fact is, they don't want to need us. They don't want to realize they need us. They don't even know they need us.
Yeah.
But they do.
Well, in California, I'm sorry. Well, in California, before we lose that thought, it's so in our county we have we started the AB 300 about 15 years ago, and that's one of the strictest laws. Now LA is caught up with us, but it's basically like a medical license here that you need to have. Maria, who is the lady that is in charge of the health department, she has no desire to be friends with tattoo artists. But the woman back in the early 2000s and the late 90s, there was the 13 shop owners in the entire county that got together weekly and started writing the bylaws. And from that point, this woman was like, look, I'm going to ask you guys every time I talk to you, what's new in the tattoo world? What's this? What's that? Like, she'd made an effort, you know what I mean? Now, their definition as she's getting older, they have the new health department commissioner coming in. They have a person who is has no idea anything about tattoos. Just like you said, they only do delis, they do bagel shops, they do restaurants. And then they hired a guy who has one tattoo on him, tiny little thing, wears a flannel, wears some Ben Davises, some Vans, and has a giant beard with a Golden State Warriors hat on. And the dude literally is like, yeah, I was in a tattoo shop for like 6 months as a desk manager. And I'm just like, why did you bring this guy on? Because, you know, they're trying to adapt to it. But the sad, crazy thing is because the tattoo schools are becoming so much an issue of controversy, it's also starting to affect California law. Mackenzie McCoy, which is a very, very awesome dude that follows the podcast side, he was saying that in Oregon it is required required by law to attend a state certified tattoo school to actually become a certified tattoo artist. Some states are doing that. California cannot mandate that, since California says that it's every county that gets to mandate their own thing. It's not state. So the way that they're getting away with that is they're starting to say, well, people don't want to have tattoo schools. Maybe it's because they don't want to be clean. So if they don't want to be clean, we're going to tax the shit out of them. So they're created a new tax system. My lady works in a tax firm. And she was talking about these meetings they're having about changing the California tax system just specifically for the entire state, because they feel that if people don't want to go to a school, you can pay a hefty fee and you don't got to worry about them. So it sucks because you have people where regulation and rules need apply in some of these areas. You have people who are going to take the shit advantage of people that are hardworking. And then you have the school right in the fucking middle that you're damned if you do, you're damned if you fucking don't, you know? And it's a shame because, like, you're right. The number one thing that people need to do, all this discourse on social media, all this discourse and all this stuff does not matter if you don't have a union or a guild, even if you're not one of those people, but if you have a band to respect your fellow fucking tattooer and say, hey, look, you and I may not be the best friends. We may be competition, but if we don't get our shit together, they're going to control us. I mean, when New York was doing the pods, right? They were doing the ink pods.
Yeah. Oh God, the ink pods.
God.
Oh my God. And worst thing, because you had suppliers that were literally willing to back it, because the suppliers don't care. The suppliers look at it as like, yeah, man, it's fucking, we make more money off of it, because the suppliers are looking at it from the fucking end all of it. They're looking at the dollars and cents of it. We're looking at it from the dollars and cents of it as well, but we're the ones spending the dollars and cents. So realistically, having some fucking twat in a supply company tell you or tell the health department, oh, this is cleaner. Mm-hmm. This makes more sense. The fuck is that? How do you ask the guy who's manufacturing something what makes and doesn't make sense? He doesn't use it on a daily basis. He puts the shit in a fucking bottle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what the fuck does he know? All he knows is how he can make more money. Yeah. So that's the person fucking ask? Bullshit. But that's the problem. The world we live in is like that.
Yeah. Well, like you said too, it's like now it's like liquor runners, you know, the old the squirrel nut zippers, you know what I mean? They have these vans. You have the old nuclear tattoo supply that's now bought out by Wasp, and Tat Soul now owns some, Kingpin now owns some, And what they're doing is they're never going to admit to this. And I'm not shitting on anyone that specifically works for them or, loves them in particular. But if you ever have bought from a van in California, look at the bottles of ink, look at the gloves, look at everything. They are, they are expired by 1 year. All the new,
Really? Really?
Yes. So this is the crazy thing. I learned this a long time ago from an artist named Dave Hatton. He goes, Karasumi and Dynamic have specific smells to them. So everybody, especially in the Japanese, because he was a Japanese artist, he goes, you smell it, and it has this like pungent smell to it that's distinctly to them. And he goes, if you rub it on a white glove or a gray glove, it will drag the ink down because that's pure pigment. If it is old, the oil will separate and it will go from there. If anyone's curious, there was a podcast I just did with Jess Yen, and he kind of goes more in depth about inks and so forth. But anyways, he says, you look at these companies and he goes, check it out, dude. The Dynamic label is completely off the way like the sizing, because all these companies, they pick one fucking stencil and they stick with it.
But let me ask you,
go ahead.
these are bootleg companies.
What they are is that they're Chinese companies, and they're going in and they're making cartridges. They're making their own things, and they're buying. So Joe Capobianco Incorporated sells Joe Capobianco ink, and you have a shitload of stock that has just about to expire or is about to expire in 6 months. They will buy your entire stock at 60% of its value. Then they come to us, the shops, and they say, hey, we'll sell it to you for a convenience fee. So now not only are you paying, a bottle of Dynamic is like $28, they sell it to you for $40, because the convenience fee is you get it on the spot and you get it there. So
but
now,
here, okay.
Go ahead.
This gets into another fucking thing I have issues with. Okay, the amount of fucking suppliers that are out there is fucking ridiculous. The amount of fucking people that have sponsorships is fucking ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when is it gonna fucking get to these thick fucking skulls that none of it fucking matters? It truly, I mean, there's a handful of pigment companies out there that matter. There's a handful of machine companies out there that fucking matter. Mm-hmm. You should really back the things you truly fucking think matter. Most of the people out there are so quick it's mainly convenience. Like you said, these trucks that drive back and forth and deliver shit to you directly. Mm-hmm. Is it really worth that much money? Here's an idea. Grow the fuck up, decide what you have in stock, make a fucking order, and get it in fucking time. This way you don't have to worry about the fucking trucks.
Yep.
You don't have to wait for the fucking guy to come to you because you've already fucking taken care of it. That's part of the fucking biggest issue with our fucking industry, is the fuck that it's like we're dealing with a bunch of fucking children that have just moved on to their first apartment. Yeah. And they have no idea how to do their own fucking laundry. And they're waiting for mom to come to pick up the piles of shit that have built up around their fucking apartment. Give me a fucking break.
So here's... So, and you're right, because this is the funny thing. The people that get too lazy and the people that get too comfortable, they fall into the line. And this ties into the tattoo school, because these are certain environments that are taking advantage of people who are getting too comfortable with convenience today. And the idea is, if you go to Kingpin right now, or you go to Tatsoul, and you get a 19 by 20 or a 19 by 48, I believe, I'm sorry, not 20, bed cover, which goes over your tattoo bed, for anyone that just doesn't know for whatever fucking reason, a box of 100 is $28 flat.
We buy them directly from the medical supply.
Okay, so if you have the medical supply place, we actually have two ladies two wives of the artists there that are in the medical field, so they run the department. We buy them from them. I'd rather buy it from a hospital and just get them at wholesale. The thing is if you buy from these vans, now tattoo schools, as I've done more research, remember how we said there are 17 major ones that are operating. 4 of them right now are offering supplies that are marked up in 5% value. Sorry, people, I like numbers. 5% value if it's a convenience fee for the people there. So not only do you go there, you have to buy machines from them. You have to buy supplies from them. And the crazy thing is those vans now take the same covers. You get 10 of them for $20, not $100. They buy the wholesale. They chop them up, And so these people at these schools are going. And so the craziest thing was I saw a post of somebody saying I got a brand new Dan Kubin liner, which for anyone that doesn't know Dan Kubin, he makes some pretty fantastic machines. This was not a Dan Kubin. Even I've worked at a convention next to Dan, and I know exactly what his fucking machines are like. And it wasn't one of his. It was somebody that was making machines out of one of these places and said that they were at a tattoo school. The guy ended up deleting his account because people started tagging Dan, and then it got taken down. But the point was, somebody was teaching somebody, hey, you know what? That school doesn't teach people how to build things, so why don't we build them, and then we can sell them as an additional. The pyramid grows ever higher, my friend. There are 3 pyramids at Giza that only get taller. You know what I mean? So
see, this problem, like the people that are that are going to these schools, the people that are they're just not willing to listen to what's being told to them. They just assume that we're being the bad guys, that we're being the ones that are poo-pooing their fucking dreams and fucking desires. You know what I mean? But it's like, just do the fucking due diligence, figure out what the fuck it is that you want, and decide whether or not this is the way to go about doing it. And I honestly believe that if you really did the fucking work, you decide, no, that's not how I should do this.
Yep.
That there is a better way to go about doing this. And that is finding a tattooer, learning who these people are, and fucking making a friendship, building a rapport that will last a lifetime, not just a small portion of what hopefully will be the rest of your life. And that's the biggest issue.
Most people that are tattooing and are fucking kicking ass and taking names. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns out there that are doing beautiful work, and there's a lot of knowns out there that are doing beautiful work. And then there's the rest of us, like myself, who I'm nobody. But the whole point is, most of these people that are doing great work, or people that are just enjoying it and making it their living legitimately, they didn't dream of being a tattoo artist. Most of us kind of fell into it. And like you said, you got tattooed, or you went to a shop and you built this relationship, and all of a sudden this relationship flourished into something to where you said to yourself, yeah, I think I could do this. But it was more in the sense of, I think I have to try. You know, yeah. and that this, like you said, somebody had just posted like, it's the easiest way to get certified. No, you're going to pay $300 for someone to tell you to take a $20 test for your bloodborne pathogen. And depending where you are at in the entire United States, the state of California and the county of Monterey, it is $240 every fucking year, like a goddamn tag for your car, to get certified. And that's how we maintain. If you go to Fresno, it is a $40 one-time fee, and you are done for the rest of your fucking life. All you have to pay for is your yearly bloodborne. Oh. You know, so it changes where you're at, but it's not that hard to get certified. They're paying for the knowledge for somebody to tell them, like, hey, asshole, give me money, and I'll make sure you're 100% guaranteed. I'm going to throw this last one out to you, Joe. If tattooers, let's get you, let's get Nico, let's say, what's his name? Randy. I can't remember his last name.
From where?
From Germany.
And Engelhardt. Randy Engelhardt.
No. It's a different Randy, but we'll throw Randy Engelhardt in there. Timmy B. And lastly, let's just say, Rick Walters. You know, just all spectrum right there. And if you guys were doing a tattoo school that was more along the lines of, we're going to teach you guys like a seminar, how they do at conventions, we're going to teach you guys just the basics of what goes on. Would that be considered okay? Because that seems to be one of the last things that people ask as trying to play the middle card of like, well, if tattooers were doing this, like legitimate tattooers that were respected, would it be considered anything else but the tattoo school way? Because you see people go to convention. I'm sorry, not to cut you off. People at conventions, and they hold some seminars, $250 a pop. I'm not complaining. I've done quite a few myself. I've done BJ Betts. I've done a lot of them, and I've gotten a shitload out of it. There are tattoo artists that are amazing that can't explain shit, and there are people that are just great at talking all day long. But from the eyes of other artists and the public, if it were the other way around and you guys were in control, would it still be acceptable or not acceptable?
In all honesty, no. I mean, because that's not it. There shouldn't be a curriculum. There shouldn't be an order to the way things work. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't college. This isn't the open parents week.
Like a curriculum.
You know what I mean? That's not how it works. You know what I mean? For us to do that would imply that we're willing to take on apprentices. That's not how it should happen. To me, the apprenticeship thing should be kind of organic. It should just kind of happen. Or it should be based on the determination of the student who has worked his ass off to find the right person to teach him. Now, I know this sounds fucking outdated and it sounds fucking archaic, but the fact is, it fucking works. It's been working for fucking decades, man. Now, all of a sudden, some other guy tries to figure out a way to cut the fuck to the finish line, and we're all supposed to just take it? That makes no fucking sense, because the only person making money on this is him. The only person who are getting somewhat of a career are the dumbasses who have taken his course. And realistically, what kind of a career do they have? Are they just so happy with the dollars and cents that are coming through the fucking door, and they're so ecstatic to be fucking marking people up in their fucking world, in their day-to-day basis, that they're just excited to be doing it? That makes no fucking sense. You know what I mean? To me, it's really about the determination of the individual that's looking to get into this business. That's what makes a great tattooer. Yeah. That's what makes a great person. Okay, it's not just a matter of being a tattooer. If you were an artist and you were trying to find the right person to apprentice under, you know what I mean? If you look at some of the greatest artists in the fucking world, it wasn't because they plunked down a bunch of fucking money and they went to school. I mean, fuck, I know more people that went to fucking college and art school that are doing nothing now. It's the ones that went out of their way beyond what they learned in school that have made a fucking name for themselves, that have made a mark in their fucking industry. And if you think about it, if you really, really look at our industry versus, say, the fine art industry, those guys are fucked. The amount of bullshit that they have to swim in as fine artists versus what we have to deal with, it's insane. So it's really determination that makes these people, that makes an artist like really swim further out and get to where they need to be than it is just money plunked down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
So to me, it's like, for us to say, yeah, we're going to host a fucking seminar and you guys can sit in on it. You're going to pay us X amount of fucking dollars. That's no better. That's us ripping people off. Okay, I'm involved in the Explorer. I'm going to be doing the next Explorer in October in Chicago. I went to the one in June in D.C. And to me, that is a professional forum being hosted for professionals in our field. Now, it was told to me that a handful of the people sitting in the audience were not professional tattooers. They were people that were considering getting into it, and they were people that sat in. Unfortunately, to try to, I guess, regulate it, it's very difficult. You know what I mean? I don't know what the ins and outs of the Explorer are. I don't know what they have to deal with, whatever. But, yeah, it's going to be difficult to make sure that individuals who really aren't part of the industry get into this thing and get to sit in on it. But whatever, it happens.
Yeah.
But me, to host a seminar for professionals, it's continued education. This is not continued education. This is a foot in on something that they don't belong in, because they've not tried to get into it. And again, it's just it's someone who's making money off this business, off of people who are not even wanting to try to do it the proper way, not even wanting to try to know whether or not this is really what they want to do spend the rest of their lives. One of the women we spoke to at the last thing we sat in on was going in for the class. And she was literally, her words were, well, this is an introduction. I want to see if it's something I really want to do. You're not even, you want a fucking tattoo and you're going to sit in, you had $350 burn a hole in your pocket. So you're willing to sit in on something because you think you might want to fucking do it. Really? And we're trying to explain to her. She's like, her words were, I can't believe you guys are sitting out here on a Sunday. You're not working. You're not spending time at home. You're sitting out here on a Sunday keeping people from learning. And my response to her was, if you were in this for real, if you were truly fucking in this, like it meant something to you deep fucking down, you would be here with us right fucking now bitching and complaining about everything that's going on in that fucking room right now because it should mean that much to you. But you don't, because you're a tourist. You're a tourist in something that you know nothing about. And because of that, we're meant to eat shit. And that's fucking bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. Some twat in fucking Jersey or New York or wherever the fucking the cocksucker lives is making money hand over fist on a bunch of dopey fucks. And to me, this goes in the same direction as a guy who's a fucking absentee shop owner who owns 3 or 4 fucking tattoo shops and just collects money willy-nilly from these dopey bastards that work for him and does nothing to promote the shop, does nothing to expand the shop, does nothing to help his artist grow, does nothing but collect fucking money. This is no fucking better. And that's bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. There should be more control over who we are as a trade, as a business, as an industry than there is right now. And that's the scary part is I don't know if it's capable. I don't know if it's possible. We've made a point in alienating ourselves from each other, hating one another, because God knows I hate a bunch of people. You know what I mean? But the fact is we need to grow and we need to come together enough that the government, the health department, the individual states are willing to listen to what it is that we have to say that will help govern what it is that we do. Because realistically, we're the only ones that know the ins and outs of this fucking business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we should be involved in whatever state laws or whatever they decide to put together.
Joe, my brother, my friend, you said it perfectly. And to anyone that has been listening for the entire time and you had curiosities and questions, because you do have a lot of people that have found you from TV, have found you from Instagram and so forth, and you're wondering about tattoo schools and what the whole gist is about. I hope you took something away from this, because it doesn't matter what state you're in. I've seen quite a few people, like even Josh Bodwell and a few other artists that have been on the live feeds, and it's touching everybody, because if we do not learn to take care of what we have now, it's only going to get away from us further, because there are people with bigger and better money than all of us put together that are a click away from just ruining it for the rest of us. And we have to be able to take accountability for the simple fact of, like, you know what, this is something that you do have to earn, that you do have to work for. And of course, everyone has different backgrounds. I mean, a shop in Connecticut, a shop in Pennsylvania is not going to be the same as a shop in California or Oregon or Texas. But at the end of the day, is we all fucking work for it. And if you're going to give your money to anybody at all, besides a fucking stupid school, that, I mean, the idea behind it, I can understand when people are fighting for something that's a little more structured for them. I can understand it, but use that money to invest into yourself. Buy some books, buy some pencils, and draw all fucking day. You know, buy better machines. Experiment with needles, experiments with stuff, and talk to people. Fucking get out there and grow, because at the end of the day, all you're cheating at the end of all of it, when you go to those schools or when you go to people that are just trying to take from you and not care about who you are, the only person you're cheating is your fucking self. So, yeah. Joe, as always, my friend, my brother, thank you so much for coming on. Any conventions, anything that you want to shout out for the shop, some of the ventures you've been doing?
Yeah, sure.
Please,
The
man.
only thing I've got lined up for conventions right now is I'm doing a convention in Lenore, North Carolina in Labor Day weekend. So it's 2 weeks, I think. So I'll be down there. And then that's actually in the distillery. It's a cool show, good people, a lot of fun. And then I go to Barcelona, Spain in the beginning of October. And that's about it. We've got a couple of things happening at the shop. In September, we're doing a pop-up at a restaurant called Roya in downtown New Haven. In October, we're doing a pop-up at Counterweight Brewing in I forgot what town it is. I think it's Hamden, Connecticut. But we're doing a pop-up with them. If anybody doesn't know what a pop-up is, it's kind of, we show up and we do something stupid, and the business in question, restaurant, brewery, whatever, they do something in kind. So it's kind of a tandem event. And then in November, which I am insanely excited to announce, November 4th, we're doing a art show with Scotty Munster from Minneapolis.
I love Scotty.
From Minnesota. So I'm insanely excited about that. I love Scotty's work. Scotty is a tremendous tattooer, an incredible artist. Every time we've ever had his artwork on display, we've sold it. So I can't wait to have an entire gallery full of fucking his artwork. He's going to be coming to our shop for a few days before and after to tattoo. Plus, so November 4th is his art show. And I know I'm getting kind of convoluted. We got a lot going on. November 4th is his art show. That's a Saturday. Sunday, November 5th, we are doing Squirrel Day. So we're doing a walk-in style street shop. Nothing but squirrel tattoos. We have a local barbecue place coming down with their barbecue truck, and we're going to be serving squirrel. So you're going to be able to eat squirrel, get a squirrel tattooed on you, see a squirrel fucking running up a tree, whatever. But be all squirrels November 5th. And that's just the beginning of it. Otherwise, just check out my social media. I'm all over the fucking place. So,
Joe, as always, my friend, thank you so much for making the time, man, and also sharing how you feel about it, because I feel that out of all the people, you and one other artist from up north over here are the only people I would actually want to talk to about this, because you're not only passionate about it, you're honest, you literally have a good head on your shoulders when you're talking about it, because even though you get riled up, you're riling up about truth. And you actually care about people when they want to do something that's going to change their life forever, rather than just throw it away. For anyone that's listening right now, if you do want to find out more about Joe, it's Joe Capobianco Tattoos on Instagram. All the links are always up on the Brushes of Doom website, and this podcast will be up later tonight. Free as always, because you know what, the whole paying and subscribing thing, that's for pussies. I'm not your goddamn dad. Enjoy this shit, have fun, share it with friends, and start drawing your ass off. Quit being a pussy. All right, y'all. Have a good night, y'all, and take it easy.
I appreciate it, man. Hey, anybody on Instagram, if you guys want, I'll answer a couple of questions for the next couple of minutes. I'm not going to go crazy.
Black Squirrel Lives Matter.
You're cool too, man. He's still here. So if you guys have questions, feel free. I don't see it as a problematic. Feel free. Won't train tattoo. Yeah. So if anybody has any questions, we're starting to lose our viewers.
He made a good point. Oh God, I didn't even know you could see me. He made a good point. It was Tony Hustle. He asked if there was a board when we proposed a union, who would those people be?
You know what's funny? Okay, I think that you automatically start out with a handful of individuals that obviously are going to be loaded. It's going to be a loaded deck. That's going to happen no matter what. But I think once things start to progress and the actual ball gets to rolling, then it's going to open up to a bunch of different individuals who are going to have to step up to the fucking plate. It's not going to be left up to the individuals that started this. It's going to be left up to individuals that are willing to step up to the plate and take a fucking swing. You know, Freddie Corbin made a very good point when I spoke to him from California. If this is going to continue, if we're going to have a board of individuals, then it shouldn't be something that somebody can sign up for the next fucking 5 to 10 years and make a career out of. It should be open to individuals that in 2 years or a year or 6 months, you bounce down and some other poor unfortunate fuck has to step up to the plate and fucking take over. The fact is, our industry is fucking huge. There are all types of free-thinking individuals, all different individuals who have all kinds of directions they want to take this business in. We need to consider that, and all of that needs to come to play. You know what I mean? Like, what my thoughts and feelings are right now are completely different from what somebody else's feelings are going to be later on down the line. Tony wrote something else. I just feel it has to be ahead.
Oh,
and state.
Well, go ahead.
I mean, I agree. There's got to be somebody in the beginning. There's got to be somebody at the lead. But once that gets going, this shit will get it'll get its own it'll take off on its own. I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Well, I think I also believe that you have to have people who are you have to have people who are not only well versed in tattooing, but have to be up to date with the industry. The biggest problem is if you have somebody, like, let's say there was a different tattooer from every county, and they met like the PPA. the Professional Piercing Association meets every once in a while, and not every piercer in the world goes, but Cody Vaughn, the vice president, owns a shop right down the street. And the dude's extremely knowledgeable. And if you're a piercer from anywhere in the U.S. and you talk to him, he'll be like, yeah, dude, what's up? Like, what do you want to know? Or what do you have trouble with? And, goes back and forth. But the reason why he works so well and the PPA works is because you have the structure of that. There are piercers, like tattooers in, let's just say, New York versus New Jersey versus Red Bank, which is also in New Jersey. If you have somebody like yourself who goes to conventions and is active, you're seeing the new machines, you're seeing the new ointments, you're seeing this and that. You're up to date and up to speed with things that matter in the now, the progression of what's happening, and also what has happened before and what works naturally in this industry. If you just throw somebody in there who's like, well, this is exactly how I did it, and I ain't going to learn nothing new, fuck everything else that's new, that's not going to work.
The scary part is that's exactly what you're dealing with. And here in the state of Connecticut, we've made announcements via Instagram and all that other bullshit. And we've had a handful of tattooers that are local tattooers, not bad tattooers, they're decent tattooers, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They come off as, fuck you dudes, man. We don't want to be part of any kind of clique. We don't be any part of club or whatever. I've got my clientele. I'm good.
Yeah.
These dopey fucks don't get that when the shit hits the fucking fan, they're going to be just as affected as the rest of us. You know what I mean? What we're trying to do is not to create some boys club. We're not trying to push things on you that you don't want to see happen. But the fact is, when the shit happens, we need to have a fucking voice. You know what I mean? And even you, as a dumbass, fucking hillbilly in the middle of fucking nowhere, okay, who has really nothing to say about anything.
Well,
okay?
I have a little bit to say.
You should have a voice.
Yeah,
huh?
Yeah. Oh, no, because you were like, you, even as a dumbass, a hillbilly in the middle of nowhere, nothing to say. And I'm like, well, I have a little bit to say.
Referencing this dopey fuck in the middle of nowhere.
I know, man.
Well, my point being, everybody should have some kind of a voice. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
And it's down to the fact that it's our business. You know what I mean? And the government is going to roll in. Everybody keeps waiting for the bubble to burst. And the bubble technically hasn't burst. I don't think it has. With everything that's gone on, the bubble has not yet burst. The bubble will burst when the fucking government comes in and says, hey, we want our taxes. We want our fucking health department fees.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you're not doing this, this, and this. So therefore, you're out. Yeah. Now, the reason why I don't think that'll ever happen is because they still want their fees.
Of course. Well,
so why shut down a dirty shop when you could just make a dirty shop pay fucking fines and still make your money?
Well, same thing with like Switzerland right now. Switzerland's going in the route of like when I used to play with bands, you would go and you would if they saw that you were a band or you were somebody traveling with excess, they would be like, okay, we need you to pull over, and they would weigh you. And so the entire weight of the van without you, without the occupants inside, would come out to about 1,000 pounds, let's just say. Then if you came back when they gave you the card to check out, they would weigh you and you're 900 pounds. They're going to tax you on that missing 100 pounds. Even if it wasn't something you sold out of your merch, they would assume that's what it was. If you were over, they would tax you for having too much. So now tattoo artists are having a hard time. Our buddies that work in Switzerland, random health department workers where they're at are taking police with them, and they're just showing up to shops. And now it's starting to catch on in Germany. It's starting to catch on in different places where if you do not, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say Germany's getting these like pop up fucking like cops coming in or health department officials coming in, and if you've got ink, machines, whatever, but that doesn't meet specs, everything gets fucking confiscated.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing is that if it's not to specs, they confiscate it, and then you have to pay to get it out. Or if you are there and you don't have a work permit, you get a fine and have to pay that. They're just cracking down more and more and more. And the sad thing about it is that, I mean, us as business people, we're now starting to feel the effects of what normal businesses go through, and you're starting to understand more of what loopholes some businesses go through. But it's easier to pick on us because it's like, well, look at what they do. You know what I mean? And the sad part about where you have the US version of it is that people don't like to admit it, but the tattoo industry is like fucking high school. There is a lot of clicks, there is a lot of people, and that shit,
fuck.
and that shit,
And it's now the clickiness of this industry is worse now than it ever has been.
of course,
Like
it
if
has.
you go to, like, I mean, fuck, I've been doing this forever. I remember I went to Detroit. God, it was the first time I'd been back to Detroit in about 8 years. So I think I went to Detroit 3 years ago, and I went with Jimmy Litwalk. Jimmy went to dinner. I went down to the bar, and I sat in the fucking bar and knew nobody. I mean, fuck, dude. I'd been to that convention 10 fucking years in a row. And I go to that convention fucking after not being there for 4 or 5 years and don't know anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody is part of something else. Like, this business is nothing but clicks at this fucking point. It's frightening how clicky it is.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And,
so it's just fucked.
And that's the crazy thing too, is so like as you see more conventions, like just because my buddy Daniel's in the conversation, I'm going to pick on Fresno. I always pick on Fresno. The thing is like you go out there and you have a tremendous amount of tattooers that there's a saturation of shops, and there are genuinely some good artists out there, as there is anywhere, but there is a group of shit artists, and if you don't fit in their little clique, all of a sudden you're blacklisted, or you're this or you're that, and then it grows. Then you start getting to a state level, then you get to the international and all so forth, and then you realize that the people that are at these little tiers, it just grows into this giant thing. And if you have the work, that's great. But if you don't have the business behind it, or something, or this or that, there's all these little stipulations that weren't there before. And the shitty part is, while everyone's fighting about these little things, there are bigger moves being made by health departments, by tattoo schools, by these places that are going to start picking people off one by one. And that's just my point of view. It sounds very paranoid, but you see it happen a lot where, like you said, you go to these conventions and some of these artists, like, who have been working for years, they got to just do it under the radar. They have to own their own little private studios because they have to make sure that they can do what they do to get by for themselves. You know, there's people like you travel to all these conventions and you see specific artists that only go to conventions. Like, they travel the circuit year round. They don't even work at shops. And those people, that's their main income. And now it's going to become impossible for them to go somewhere without paying with the work visa 6 months in advance, you know? And,
I think it's going to take a long time for that to catch up, though. I don't think that's going to be. I don't think it's going to be something you're going to see happening right away. It's going to take a long fucking time to catch up. You know what I mean? Like right now, I think what you're going to see happen before that is the fact that there's no money to be made at these conventions. That people will literally be going. I mean, you know what the best thing is? I fucking love hearing people talk about how great a convention was, and you sit back and you're like, "Oh, you did good, huh? Oh, it was phenomenal. It was a great show." I'm like, really? How many tattoos did you do? I did 3. So you did 3 appointments. And I'm like, do you sell any merchandise? Oh, I sold a couple T-shirts. I sold a couple of this. So what the fuck did you do? You could have stayed home and done 3 fucking tattoos.
Exactly.
You could have stayed home and fucking 5 T-shirts. The fuck did you go to a convention for? The thing that nobody get is the fact that the only people making fucking money on conventions are the fucking promoters. Mm-hmm. Promoters are the only ones making money. Because their money's made before the fucking door's even open. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, back in the day, when they gave away half the fucking booths, okay, they had to make money off the fucking door. They had to get people through the fucking door. Now, dude, I got fucking 180 booths. $700 a fucking pop. My money's made. Fuck it. 70 people came through the door. I don't give a shit.
Yep.
You didn't make money. Not my fucking fault. Fuck you, dude. Like, what? How does that make sense? Well, and yet, everybody, all these big name fucking tattooers, oh, I love going to this convention. Why? You did 3 fucking conventions. You charged your client admission to get tattooed by you. How does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, that's fucked.
Well, I remember too. Like, I remember back in the day too. It's like you said, you would go to these conventions, and the Golden State Expo is one of the bigger ones now. But I remember when it was at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. That was the one in the 90s that everybody went to. Now that place is ghetto as shit. No, I mean, like the hand washing stations themselves, the water looks dirtier coming out than it does going down. And the crazy thing is like you said, I always remember you'd see all these big artists. The event owners knew, like, okay, these are the people that are going to bring heads in. We need to make sure they're okay. We'll take care of them, and then they have to have a bracelet for their client because, like you said, you have these big names that are coming in, and they're charging $1,200, $1,500, $1,000 for the day. They do 3 of them, and they're like, oh man, this convention's great. But it's really easy to say a convention's great when your head's like this.
Exactly.
For 8 hours. When your head's down, no one can see me, but when your head is down.
There's been conventions that I've gone to that I've done incredible at. I've done phenomenal at. But I have never once kept my head down and fucking kept the blinders up to the point that I knew nothing that was going on around me.
Mm-hmm.
I have always made a point in asking the people next to me, my friends, whatever, how did you guys make out? Did you sell any merchandise? And that's another thing. Like, if I'm tattooing, that's great. But if I'm not selling merchandise, that means there's nobody coming through the fucking door buying shit. So what the fuck is the point? Like, there's no reason for me to fucking be there. Now, having said that, I will be the first one to admit there are conventions that I've gone to that I go strictly because of the individual putting it on, the individual that are going to be there.
Yeah.
To me, it's a hangout. I get to go to a convention, hang out with a couple of friends, have a good time.
Yeah.
That does not make it a good fucking convention.
No.
And I will be the first one to fucking admit that. If you ask me as in a personal way, I won't put it on fucking social media. But if you ask me personally what I think of a convention, I will straight up say, you know what, man? I have a great fucking time at that convention. The show sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'll tell you why it is that I enjoy that convention. Won't do it here, but I will do it personally.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I want to know before I go to Spain or before I go to fucking Italy or before I go to fucking wherever that the convention I'm going to is worthwhile. If it's not worthwhile, then give me a heads up.
Yeah. Well, like you said, because another thing too that people don't take into account is like if you're going to go to Spain, you're not only accounting for your trip there, your booth for most people, your hotel, your food, your travel, your actual accommodations for yourself, and like you said, your wife and everything to have a good time. I mean, on top of that, you're also accounting for the days you're going to be out of the shop. People don't ever think about that. You're counting every single day. If you're going to be gone for half a week, that's a half a week you're not working at your station where you could be making solid money.
And that's what blows me away with a lot of the tattooers coming into the industry nowadays because they make most of their money on the road. To me, my whole thing telling people over and over again, it's not what you make on the road. It's not the fact that you're you're not a traveling salesman.
Right.
If you want to be a traveling salesman, by all means, knock yourself the fuck out. But that's not a way to grow old in this business. Mm-hmm. The idea is to have a home base. The idea is to have people come to you. The idea is to build up a fucking clientele where you know you will be happy and you're not going to spend money to make money.
Right.
And that's the thing a lot of artists don't get. They're so happy to be traveling. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love travel.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore it. I mean, the 3 of the trips that I'm going on now in the next 6 months are literally just to do it. It's got nothing to do with making money. Like, I know I'm going to take a fucking beating doing it, but I'll have a fucking blast doing it. But I will never go away going, oh my God, what an amazing convention. No. What an amazing time. Convention, totally different thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can honestly say, I can't imagine, I don't remember. I'm seriously trying to remember the last time I went to a convention that I was absolutely blown away by.
Right.
And what I mean by blown away by is I went away, I had a great time, I made money, and did great tattoos. And realistically, most of it is I had a great time. Did a couple of cool tattoos. Whether or not I made money, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, I'm going back to Spain based on the fact, like Barcelona. It's Barcelona.
Yeah. It's
Barcelona, great time. It's a beautiful city.
Mm.
I've got friends there, and I'm going with somebody who's never been to Spain before. So for me, that's why I'm doing it. Is the convention great? No. It's a good time. I'm being honest, and I hate to say this, Kathy, whatever. Like, it's not a great convention.
Mm-hmm.
But big show. And I think part of the reason is I don't think there's a lot of money in Spain. Which is part of the reason.
There's not.
But it's one of the shows. It's a European convention that is incredible as far as the amount of artists they bring to the table, the amount of like all the different nationalities. It's from that perspective. If you've never been to a convention or you've never been to a European show, that's a good convention to go to.
Yeah.
Going to make money, that's a tough call. That's a really, really tough call.
Well, unless you have like a steady clientele or you have a specific style someone's seeking. Like a perfect example is one of my buddies. His name is Christian Cazaz. And I have to say his name because he gets all upset if I don't say it right. But he's a Spaniard that lives in Switzerland, and he travels. I mean, 80% of the year is just on the road. But he's anywhere he goes for what he does, his style, he's always making money. But he said it perfectly to me when he was like, I'm lucky that I found something I love to do and people like it. He goes, but 100% of the time I am traveling to see places that I would not get to see because I would be too busy, stuck going back and forth from home to the shop. And he goes, and I'm getting to meet people and friends and other ideas from other artists that are going to make me a better artist. And he goes, if I come out broke, at least I saw the entire world as a poor man who was happy.
Dude, all the trips I've been to in Europe lately have not been monetarily, have not been about monetary gains. They've been more about I went to Naples. Like the first time I went to Naples was 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago. Had an absolute fucking blast. Naples is a scary city. Mm-hmm. And it's fun. Think of Italy. You got Rome, Venice, fucking Florence, whatever. Naples is like a place unto itself. You know what I mean? But the 2 times I've been, the people are just so fucking real, and they're just so legit. And as sketchy as the city is, it's still an amazing place.
Yeah.
I'm going back in November, and I can't fucking wait. You know what I mean? Because of the people I've met, because of the contacts I've made. That's all that matters to me. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that I think that most tattooers, when they travel, for the most part, I think that's what they're getting the personal experiences. They're getting the interactions with individuals. It's not about money, because it's not about money anymore. It hasn't been about money in about fucking 10 years. Like the money I made 15, 20 years ago in this business is fucking retarded. The money I make now is laughable in comparison.
Right.
You know what I mean? Laughable. Which is why when I think of the younger generation of tattooer and I say we had it better. Like I hate to sound like the old man that's talking about the 1920s and like eating fucking, hard-boiled eggs on a fucking piece of fucking rye bread and acting like this is the best sandwich he's ever had, and fuck the younger generation. But fuck the younger generation, dude, because realistically, like, they don't know what it was like to go to a convention 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They don't know what they missed out on 15 years ago. 12 years ago, yeah, that's when things started taking a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't until about 5 years ago that things just went fucking bluey, man. And it sucks. Like, going to conventions now is just shit. It's just absolute shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think of it this way: is I see it from a band point of view. Is like back in the 90s and the 80s, you had a person that threw on a show. The promoter themselves, all they did and all they cared about was watching a band play and making sure the bands were happy. So they kept having good bands come to that venue. And then yeah, exactly. And so like you would go to this place and they'll be like, all right, man, fuck, I'm going to lose money on this gig, but I got to make sure these guys eat. I got to make sure these guys play and they're good. You know what I mean? And as the old punk shows, hardcore shows, shit, even all the way down to hip hop shows, like anything that you would go to back then, they were great because there was so much context that the artist got to be the artist and the business people got to be the business people. When it started taking a shit is when you had everyone becoming entrepreneurs. And when entrepreneurship came into it and they started becoming all this other things, it started evolving to where now you have all these people that are like, well, I could put on a show. I only need how much money? Okay, so if I get 7,000 and then I spend this and then I do that and I do this, then I can make 20,000. It's like, no, the person who used to do it before you, your predecessor, the old school guy or gal, looked at it as like, I may only have 7,000 in the bank, but if I have to push another 2,000 of my own money and lose out, I'm going to make sure these guys and these girls coming to these conventions, coming to tattoo, whatever, they have the time of their fucking life, because at the end of the day, we're here to have a good time. I'm here for business, but I care about what happens. And that's where that thing kind of died, is because bigger business
Problem with
within.
this generation with this fucking word entrepreneur. I fucking love that. Entrepreneur. What the fuck does that mean? You've managed to make money. You've managed to squeeze a little bit of fucking blood out of this stone. Give me a fucking break. You deserve a title. That's your job, because you've made something for yourself for 2 fucking years, and then you're going to disappear. Nobody's going to hear from you forever. Like, that's the thing, even with this business. Like, we've got all these young tattooers coming down the pipe. Like, fucking boom, 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 boom. All these amazing tattooers. Where are they now? Yeah. Like, you can literally say this. Like, people that have literally, in the last 8 years, that have come down the fucking pipe like fucking gangbusters, fucking blasted in this fucking business. And now where are they? Yeah. They're fucking sitting in the middle of fucking somewhere, like nowhere America. And they're doing a handful of fucking tattoos. Who are they? Who gives a shit what they did fucking 5 years ago? Yeah. That's what the fucking insane, you know?
Well, you said it too. I mean, on the other podcast we had done, we were talking about how, you know, the people focus too much on stuff like Instagram, and they think that 50,000 likes is going to validate who they are and what they do. But if those likes do not transfer to dollars, then what does it really matter to you, in the sense of like, if you're trying to do this as a person doing business? But in reality, it's like with social media and the way that the mentality and the what is the word? God, I can't even believe it. Attention spans that people have. A tattoo that you spend 2 weeks drawing, 20 hours tattooing, and a good hour just to make sure it's cleaned up and you get a good photo of it, is automatically yesterday's news by tomorrow. And it's like, well,
that's the problem with social media, you know. And that's the thing with like tattoo magazines. Everybody acts like, oh, the magazines they're outdated, they're useless, there's no point in having them. Really, when a magazine comes out, that's fucking physical. That's something that will sit in your shop for as long as your shop's around. Yeah. It's so dog-eared that you feel the need to throw it away. Name that on fucking Instagram. I try to go back fucking 6 months on my Instagram. It takes me 15 fucking minutes. Yeah. By the way, 15 minutes on my fucking phone, too fucking long. I'm done. I can go into my shop, pick up a fucking magazine. It's there. Done. Yeah. I can see it right now. Every fucking client walking through the door can see it right now.
Every tattoo magazine that you used to collect had all that in it, because like you said, people tend to forget that I mean, if you were to explain to somebody 50 years ago, hey, you know how it takes you maybe 2-3 weeks to a month to receive a letter, and people 50 years from now can get information from anywhere in the world, even a movie in real time, but they have to wait 30 seconds and then go into a rage when they can't get it. They would be like, what the fuck is the problem? Going back to the Tattoo Flash magazines, like I said, I used to go to, from high school during lunch, we had a 7-Eleven across the street, and you'd go in there and I'd see your work, I'd see Gil, I'd see all these other guys in there, and you would just like, anytime like, hey, check this out, you'd go in your backpack, you'd pull it out and just tick, oh, there it is, page 12, right there.
And the best thing about that is I've gotten more fucking props from tattoo magazines than I've ever gotten from a podcast, fucking blog, fucking Instagram post, Facebook post. Fuck all that bullshit. The fact is, when it's in your hands, physically in your fucking hands, it means something. And that's something that I think is completely lost on a lot of the younger generation nowadays. And that's something like when I speak at the Explorer, that's something I'm going to talk about, man. Like, if I've gotten a magazine article, I get fucking clients. I post a picture on fucking Instagram, nobody gives a shit. It's like I'll get a handful of likes today, maybe a couple tomorrow, and then it's gone. Yeah. Like, it might as well have been thrown out of the fucking Millennium Falcon during fucking light speed, because it makes they don't care. So what's the fucking point?
The Lou Critical Hit asked something.
How do we get that?
How do we get that back? Do you think it's possible to get that back?
Yeah, You know how you get it back? You get you thick fucks to literally fucking do something beyond your fucking phone, which means you fucking print a picture out, or God fucking forbid, you put a bunch of stuff on a fucking jump drive and mail it into the fucking magazines. Mm-hmm. We run this fucking industry. It's fucking ours. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you not understand it? If somebody comes into your fucking shop, you can either do what you're asked to do, blindly fucking do whatever dumb shit they ask you to do, or you can speak to them as a person, as a client, as a fucking friend. Explain to them why what they want is fucking stupid or can be improved. Not everything is stupid. Yeah. Improve it. The thing is, you have that control. The magazines mean something. It's physical. It's not this fucking digital bullshit that's gone. That's gone the moment it goes up. And that's the fucking problem with our fucking world. And we help perpetuate that because you want that instant gratification. You want that fucking like. You want, God forbid, somebody messages you. Yeah, give me a fucking break. Somebody leaves a like. Oh my God. Like, it fucking matters. They don't give a shit. They do it and they've moved on. They've liked 90 fucking things in 30 fucking seconds. How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
But if you spent the time to buy a fucking magazine, which, by the way, costs fucking money, takes time and energy to go to the fucking store and find, because nowadays, fuck, it's hard as hell to find them. But the fact is, they're there. And when you get it, take it, you look at it, your client looks at it, sits in your shop. I've got magazines in my shop for 15 fucking years. Mm-hmm. 15 fucking years. I can't go back 15 fucking months on my fucking Instagram. Holy shit. Give me a fucking break. That's how you get it back. You fucking do it. You do it yourself. And that's what fucking matters.
Yep. And because you think about it too, is like some people, like they're talking about the whole thing of where you can be featured on a page. You know, I was helping out a specific page with some stuff that they wanted help with, and I've always tried to be helpful. You've known me a little bit, but I genuinely care to see artists and people of any type of medium that they do. I want to see them succeed, you know. And if they put in the work, then fuck yeah, I'll give them props. But if they ain't doing the work, I'm not gonna pat them on the back and be like, "It's okay, buddy. Everything's gonna work out." But I mean, the thing is you have too many clickbait pages. And that's what really grinds my gears is like your BuzzFeed page, man. People are charging you $20. Hey, let me feature you or this and that. I will call out the one page I fucking can't stand. Rose pages or rose tattoos. My biggest fucking problem, and I wrote a post about this and it got me, it just fucking grinded my gears, and somebody sent me the fucking craziest hate mail. I mean, to the point where it was like, "Oh, fine, where you live and I'll kill you, boy." And, it was the whole thing of like every time they post a little story on Instagram, I'm flipping through, I'm seeing what my friends are doing or other artists that I'm into. And all of a sudden it's like our post, support the page. If you don't like our stuff, then we're going to have to shut down the page. If you don't support what we do, then we're going to have to stop. It's like, you fucking assholes. If you're going to post other people's work, it took them all that time to draw and tattoo it and execute it and create it. And all it has to do for you, it takes time out of your day to repost it. Oh my God, that must really fucking be hard. If it's too much for you to do that, then you need to get the fuck out and you need to stop doing it. Because honestly, you're stealing from people and you're looking for the gratification of other people's hard work and doing stuff like that. And that's what bothers me. Richard Pellegrino is a guy that I'll be talking to next on the podcast. Amazing acrylic artist, does some really fucking cool out there stuff. And all these Facebook pages have been stealing his shit. And people are buying it and he's lost over $100,000. You know, and like he's a new father, he's all this other stuff, and I was telling him, I was like, dude, I would love to share what you have to say, because I've talked to the dude one-on-one, and the dude's really fucking nice, but B, it's like you've spent all that fucking time, and you're getting nothing for it, because out of all these years you've put that work, and people are like, oh, that's thievery, that's terrible. But then you look at these people who are running these pages, and they're just sharing shit to get popular, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's whatever, dude. Like, hey, at least somebody shared your shit. It's like, no, it's not okay to do that.
That's the problem with our business, man. That's the problem with our business. That's the same thing with the conventions, everything. Everybody's willing to jump on somebody else's fucking bandwagon just to be part of it. Everybody's willing to share something just to be part of it. But in the meantime, none of the people that matter. And what I mean by the people that matter are the people that are actually doing the fucking work. Okay? People that are actually going out of their way to make things happen.
Yes.
They get nothing out of it. So what's the point of doing it? You know, what are we doing? You know?
Yeah. And the thing is that you're encouraging younger artists, younger people to be in this mindset of, well, please like my stuff, please look at my things, so forth, so on. And I've shared this story with you before, but it's like Rich Pineda was the artist at the time when I was still a little bit younger, and I was like, dude, I know how to get more followers and likes and so forth. And he was like, that's cool. Like, he was talking to me, and I could see it in his eyes. He's like, you little asshole, because obviously I was younger. But he was like, he said it in such an honest way. He goes, you know what, man, I'm going to post a photo of me flipping off my coworker. And he posted it, and Bob Terrell and Nico, a bunch of other dudes liked it. And he goes, it does not matter how many people like your shit. It matters who likes it. If the right people that you care about admire your work because you admire theirs, then that's what it is. If I only get 500 likes on something, if I only get 5 likes, but the people I respect my work or even my bullshit, he goes, then I'm in the right company. Because too many people want instant gratification. Now, fast forward, you see these people that are like, please like my stuff, please this, please that, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And all of a sudden, when they don't get paid attention to, they think that like when we all do our 5-minute sketches and we should be spending an hour on them, they think the 5 minutes okay and good enough. When you used to go to a tattoo magazine, R.C. Kelly, one of my fucking very good friends and an amazing fucking artist, as well as a guy who's submitted thousands of flash sheets. That dude painted every fucking day for years, and they took one flash sheet from him. And that was the thing, is like, you would look and you'd buy the magazine and you'd fucking scroll through it. Dude, they fucking have my flash. They fucking have my flash. This is my fucking day. You didn't have the gratification of begging for something. You earned it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And I really wish, I mean, I'm not shitting on Tattoo Magazine. I'm not shitting on any other publications that are out there, but there really needs to be a magazine or something out there that literally goes to people like yourself, veterans, people that are new and popular and this and that, and get legitimate insight in small articles about what's going on.
You know, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. The problem being is these people, and I'm not defending them, because in all honesty, that's their fucking job. That's like saying, you know, well, you can't wait for the story to fall in your lap. You're a fucking journalist. Go find the fucking story. You know what I mean? Because I have, like, Tony Romo's a good friend of mine. You know what I mean? Like, Tattoo Society is probably one of the best magazines out there.
Of course.
You know? But how much can he possibly run around and try to find the new artist, try to find the good story, try to find... I'm not defending that he's not, but by the same token, how much can you do?
Well, the whole idea too is like, you remember when they used to go to tattoo shops and it'd be like, tattoo shops on the road, who's the shop, and you'd always see the same fucking post.
Yes. And that's exact. But that's the thing. For the longest time, everybody bitched and complained about how bad the tattoo magazines were, and Aaron Kane back in fucking 50 years ago called everybody out and said, hey man, tattoo magazines are only as good as you're sending photos in. If you're not sending photos in, then obviously they're not going to be good.
Yeah.
So who are you going to complain? But now we've got the internet. Why do you need fucking tattoo magazines? Who cares what sends people? I'm going to look through this. And before you know it, 3 styles have gone beyond you. I mean, could you imagine how many things have passed by us that we haven't even noticed because we just didn't spend the time noticing it?
Yeah. Well, one guy who is a favorite painter of mine, the dude is I mean, the legendary guy himself, Drew Struzan. I mean, he has an Instagram, and the dude has very few followers. It's the same thing as Alex Ross, one of my favorite comic book characters. Everybody fucking knows their shit, but then all of a sudden you look at them, and then everyone goes like, whatever, dude. And then you're like, oh, you remember Star Wars? You remember Goonies? You remember The Thing? You remember all this stuff? And they're like, yeah, well, that's the artist. Well, if he's that good, then why doesn't he have like 1 million followers?
The This is the thing. This is the reason why we live in this fucked up world we live in right now. Because those are the people that should be smacked in the fucking back of the fucking head. Actually, no, not worse. Fuck them. That's a thing, man. Like, these people, like, they don't get it. If it's not in the here and now, it's not on the big fucking screen, they don't fucking care about it. And that's insane. That's absolutely fucking insane to me. But fuck them. That's not what these things are made for. The things that last are not made for the people that get it now. It's made for the people that get it down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And fuck everybody else, man.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
And that's the crazy thing is where when we lose that physical medium, like you can physically see me, no one ever gets to see me, but like all my books, I can get all these books, every single one that I've spent. One of these tiny little fucking books is like $20. You know what I mean? Like this book alone, this one on Third in Bulk, this book right here is like $100, and I'm not.
My collection of books is retarded,
and this is my point. Is like it's not saying like, oh man, look at how much I have. But the point being is like, I remember years ago somebody telling me, because my book collection will forever grow for the rest of my life, and I unfortunately don't have all the space for it now, but the books behind me, as $20 each, I was like, man, as a kid, I was like, man, I wish they could digitize these and I can read them. I tried it for 2 months, and I remember feeling like a fucking idiot because I had every single book in this little program that they had ever printed up until 6 months prior, and there was no physical thing to it. I didn't sit and read and take in everything as well as I should have, because I didn't really care about it as well. And so when you, like you said, when you're not bothered to go to a store and make the effort to do something, you genuinely don't have the time or effort to really invest into that. And like, you're right, Tony is a great guy. I've met him on a numerous amount of occasions.
No, Tony's not a great guy. He's just a guy.
I've seen him party, so that's what I'm saying. But I mean, like but the thing is like, you know, if you had a way to go around to some, like, having people go to shops and exposing shops in different areas like they used to, showing artists, having legitimate talks with people that are veterans and people that have complete insights on machines and so forth, having that physical aspect, I believe, brings back a lot of what we're missing, as well as trying to round in the idea of bringing back a physical form, because you're right, there are people that get left behind so much because of popular shit. And the crazy thing is this one guy had said it about popular tattoos versus, like, when they had the Ink Master guys, when they had Oliver and what's his face talk about celebrity tattoos, and and somebody in one of the comments I remember reading, they were like, why do you guys talk about bad tattoos when you can't pull a good line? And I was like, I'm wondering who this person is, right? And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at their work, and they have very clean, solid, traditional work from the middle of France, you know. And I'm looking how there's always somebody here and there and so forth. But the point being is, like, the rebuttal of another artist, which was from, I believe, Georgia, was just simple. He said, you know, people with money and time that can afford for people to worry about their problems do not need to worry about finding things for themselves. So if somebody says, that's what I need, that's the quickest way, and I'm going to just get it because it works right now in this moment, then that's all the standard's ever going to be. Hence the whole thing about the social media is where people see the now, rather than searching and really finding good artists and really good people and delving into the fucking depths of what's in this goddamn industry and this craft, as well as all the other types of things, painting, sculpting, all the different things. You lose all that because of one click of a button or swiping to the left or swiping right.
Exactly. That's the problem. It's the fact that everybody assumes that it's like, that's there. Oh, it's right in front of me. I don't need to look any further.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, fucking Ink Master, really? That's what we've got?
Yeah.
That's the fucking top of the fucking line. Ink Master. Give me a fucking break. I mean, don't get me wrong. I did the other fucking show. You know what I mean? I can honestly say, though, we had some great fucking, like, there was a handful of the people who won were fucking super talented. And I'm not going to say the same thing about Ink Master, but whatever.
Well,
you know what I mean? The fact of the matter is, it's like you can't look at that. You have to look beyond what's actually given to you, what's actually put on the plate. You know what I mean? The fact is, you go to a restaurant, you know what I mean? You can ask what the special is. You know what I mean? You don't have to give them. You don't have to take what's given to you, what's printed out on fucking paper. You know what I mean? And that's what most people don't do. You know?
Yeah, and you're right, because Ink Master, when people ask you about that shit and all that other stuff, it's ridiculous, because that's for us, it would be like me asking a mechanic, like, oh yeah, so you're going to use the good gas on it, and the mechanic being like, you stupid fuck, because I know jack shit about cars. So genuinely, you have people that don't understand anything about the industry itself, but they do understand Ink Masters. So the only thing that I see for myself is to educate people on that, because you were on the other show. I've seen 2 shows shot, when I was working in LA, and it's ridiculously interesting the way that everything works and the whole shebang about it. And at the end of the day, it's like, you know what, if you can set a better example personally with your artwork and your physical self than what TV is doing, then you're going to floor people who have that much of a, I don't want to say simple because it sounds mean, but a simple mind to just understand that, but they have an open mind about tattoos. You can wow them 1,000%. So it's your job as an artist to say, like, well, if you think Ink Masters is good, check this shit out. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, the thing that I ran into with our show was, you're constantly banging your head against the wall with the production.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had no problem with it. I mean, realistically, like, I was totally down with fucking bashing my face against fucking production, because I didn't like network people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When network come in and be like, oh, well, why can't this person win? And you'd have to sit them down and be like, here's why.
Yeah.
And you'd literally explain why you were voting the way you were voting. And they would be like, but I'm like, I don't fucking care. And the best thing about it was, I really didn't care. Like some of the best arguments I had was, like, I think it was only ever once that I ever went this way, but we were arguing so adamantly. I was arguing so adamantly against what they wanted that I said, fuck it, fire me. I don't give a shit. And I walked away because I really didn't give a fuck. Like, I mean, to me, the TV show was such a fucking joke. And I say that in oh my God, yeah, fucking absolute joke. You know what I mean? It made no fucking sense that I was even on it. But the fact is, like, I didn't care. Like, what are you going to do? Fucking let me go? Like, good luck. Yeah. You know what I mean? Who's on it? Sabina Kelly? Good luck with that one. You know what I mean? So it literally got to the point where it was just like, I was just being ridiculous and not caring. You know what I mean? As long as I got what I wanted. And 9 times out of 10, I did. And that was all I cared about. In all honesty, it's all I cared about was getting what I wanted.
Well, like you said, it's also the different environment of how the show was based off of and how everything was taken into account, because you have people like in the feed, you have Josh Bodwell, and he was on Epic Inc., and there was no competition on that show. And even when we talked with Josh,
he was on Epic Inc.
Epic Inc., yeah.
What was that?
Epic Inc. was a show about basically nerd tattooers in a LA Inc. style. Yeah, but everybody was buddy. Like they had a real shop aesthetic. Because
it wasn't drama.
It wasn't drama, and he had talked about how when they did stuff, they had to fight with people because they want drama, they want this, they want that. But at the end of the day, that was the closest thing you saw to somebody where it's like, hey, dude, what are you doing? I don't know. What do you think what do you think I'm doing? Faggot and tattooing. Like you had that kind of relationship of what you find in a real shop.
Here's television. Television doesn't give you what you want. Television gives you what they think you want. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I remember talking to the fucking production to be like, do you really think that little of your fucking audience? Well, this is what they want. I'm like, no, they don't. Like, dude, I know people that watch this fucking show. They hate the show because of the drama, because of the bullshit, because of all the crap that you keep shoving up their ass.
Mm-hmm.
But you think they want it, so therefore, obviously, you know, that's what they're stuck with getting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And like in the whole thing of like with the whole Ink Masters thing with, you know, you have all these shops going against each other for drama. I mean, I've never watched one episode of Ink Masters.
Don't even exist.
Yeah,
they've not worked together in fucking 15 years.
And the funny thing is that like you have what the fuck is his name? It's something with the B. It's not Billy or something. But anyways, I follow him. I always forget his name. It's my bad. But he was going on the show, and then they said, "Oh, here's our competition," and you see Carlos and what's his face from Black Anchor, and I'm like, dude, Eric Taylor, and there was, in my mind, there was no fucking competition when it came to where you saw everyone else's level. But, you know, knowing Carlos, and you know Carlos, his attitude was like, I'm going to be a dick because I know they're going to kick me off. And more importantly, I'm just going to fuck with them as much as I fucking can. And he did. And when they let him go, somebody had said like, oh, this thing's got to be rigged. It's like, hello, do you not fucking understand that this whole thing's planned out 6 months before they even fucking shoot?
That's the thing that drives me crazy with the television shows, is the fact that 9 times out of 10, like, dude, the last 2 people who have won fucking Ink Master, you sit back and you're like, really?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did that happen? And then you look at the individual. Okay, Kelly Doty versus this other fucking, whose name I don't recall.
Yeah. Kelly's amazing. I love her fucking work.
Phenomenal fucking tattooer.
Yeah.
Okay, phenomenal tattooer. Now, I'm probably saying too much, but fuck it, I'll say it.
Eh.
I was sitting at a table with Teresa Sharp and Erin Chance down in Virginia about 6 months ago, and we were talking about television shows, and they were saying how the television shows are actually good for female tattooers. Now, don't get me wrong. Female tattooers for a long time needed as much as they could have. In the last 5 to 8 years, fuck that. Female tattooers got whatever they needed. Like, you have tits, you're making a living. Like, and I don't want to offend anybody, but it's the God's honest truth. There are guys looking to tattoo, like, to apprentice women because they know it'll bring people through the doors.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? When my wife first started apprenticing, she was looked at as like a fucking albatross. Nobody wanted to deal with her. Nobody wanted a female in the tattoo shop. If you walked into a tattoo shop and there was a girl and a guy, you went to the guy. You only went to the girl if you were some fucking weirdo pervert. You know what I mean? So my wife dealt with that kind of bullshit. You know what I mean? Women today do not. I shouldn't say that. That's not entirely true.
No, but you're right. There was a stigmatism back then of that if you went to the girl, you were afraid of being looked at as a fucking freak or a weirdo. Or more importantly, a lot of shops always saw them as drama. And then now it's more a case because, like you said, it's not to offend anybody, but I've worked with quite a few women, and whether they were good tattoo artists or not, or they were good piercers, there's something to do with the fact that people feel comfortable around the motherly figure, especially older women. But there is a fact of, like, if she wears a low cut top and my fat ass, we both have the same. One girl and I have the same breast cup size. I don't look as good in a low cut top, bro. She's getting the work. You know what I mean? But I understand what you're saying. Yeah. It's changed. That's the point.
But the point being, with someone like Kelly Doty, like, you look at Kelly. Okay, let's just step back and look at that scene. The last fucking episode. Kelly, some fucking dude, some fucking hot white-haired chick. Really? Did anybody have any idea who was going to walk away with the fucking title that week? Anybody. Now, if you seriously sat down and looked at everybody's work, the only one who brought any uniqueness, mad talent, and just straight up fucking no bullshit fucking tattoo ability was Kelly. Who won? The hot fucking chick. Give me a fucking break. Like, nobody saw that fucking coming. Give me a fucking break. I'm so sick. And it's every fucking year. Year before, fucking traditional guy wins. Year before that, the fucking cool guy wins. Give me a fucking, like, why watch these fucking shows? You know what I mean? But the masses dig on it. And they dig on the fucking drama that is created by fucking by the person they don't want to see win.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So what's the fucking point?
Well, and that's the crazy thing too. I mean, I remember when Inked was talking about when they were filming, and it's like, okay, here's who we choose to win. Here's second runner. Here's another artist that can run up, and then we need 3 assholes, and then we need the one bad boy and the one bitchy woman. Okay, and then everyone's gonna fight, and at the end we're gonna make it a drama. And it's always that one thing of where the best thing that my buddy Ruthie, she was on LA Inc. She had said, she goes, "How is something live if they're showing you clips from that week's episode 4 days before?" You know what I mean? He goes, she goes, you have to really think about that when you're explaining it to somebody who really takes this too seriously.
But okay, Christian Perez, a guy I work with, just said the shows aren't meant for us.
Yes.
Understand. But the fact of the fucking matter is, it's a fucking fantasy. Nothing about it is fucking real. Stop calling it reality television. Because the fact of the matter is, fucking retards are watching it, and we're forced to fucking deal with it.
Yep.
And I'm fucking sick and tired of dealing with it. When people come into us, at least I can honestly say, I feel I'm really tired of bringing it. You know, at least I can honestly say, when we did our show, I fought for what I wanted. If I didn't get what I wanted, I fought for it. Hannah fought for it. You know what I mean? Like, we busted our fucking balls to get what we got. Mm-hmm. I don't know what goes on in the other shows. I really don't. You know, I'm not tend to know where Oliver and fucking Chris's heads are at.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like you said, though, it's like, you know, well, with Josh was like, when we talked about his show, it's wholehearted. When I saw Ruthie and she pointed out a bunch of things about LA Inc. when it was on, that pointed out a lot, you know. And the thing is that, like you said, and the gentleman said earlier, it's not made for us. But at the ass end, we had talked about this way a long time ago, of where it did end up helping bringing more business to the tattoo chicks. I mean, but it's also brought in a bunch of shit with it.
Yeah, agree. Well, because it educated. I shouldn't say educated. It pretended to educate a bunch of dopey fucks who now come into your shop going, "Oh no, I know it. I know what fine line is. Oh, you know what fine line is. Do me a favor and fuck off back to wherever you're from, because I don't want to deal with you, because you have no idea what you're talking about." And the fact is, you can't talk to people like this. You know what I mean? You hope that people come in with a moniker of fucking respect for what you do and say, okay, I know what I'm talking about, but let's see what this guy has to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of times you do. I mean, it really depends on the individual artist that goes out there and says, yeah, let's talk. And you build a rapport, and at that point, it's your personality that's going to win this person over, because obviously they know too much already. You know what I mean? They watched television for the last fucking 6 months. You know what I mean? So there's the idea is to beat that out. You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't want to give them the upper hand, but by the same token, you don't want to berate them immediately. You have to give them some kind of power. You know? Yeah. That's the thing. That's what TV is kind of given to people. But the fact is, it's like it's still laughable, and the fact that Spike is running with it, and all these fucking tattooers are fucking being like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, fuck, I know, I'm a good friend of Jimmy Litwalk's. The cocksucker's been on the fucking show 6 fucking times. Give me a fucking break. How many times are you gonna be on this fucking stupid show? It's not getting you anything, for fuck's sake. So why do you keep doing it? It's just insane. It makes no fucking sense. It would be one thing if these guys were making money, but they're not making money from the show, so what's the point of doing it?
Well, they all think that they're going to get the right amount of exposure out there, like Kat did. When Kat, who she was when she first started to where she is now, when I met Kat on the few occasions in LA, it wasn't the best of meetings, but I always chalk it up because obviously at that point I was like, you know what, dude, some people have bad days. Second time I was like, man, she must be having a bad month. After the 4th and 5th time, I'm like, you know what, I'm cool.
Fucking train wreck, dude. That's why she was good for television. That's it. And the fact that she went as far as she did is because I don't even think she embraced it. I honestly think she's that fucked up, and that she literally is just Hollywood. Like, because I mean, you think about it, dude. It's like you're either the person that like lives the lifestyle because you know it's going to make you money, or you're just so fucked you don't care, and you're just rolling on the fucking tracks because that's the direction the tracks go in, and that's where you go. That's who she is. I mean, personally, I've met her a handful of times. She's fucked up. Could give a shit if I ever met her again. Don't fucking care about her.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that she's half the fucking problem with where our industry has gone. Because realistically, she jumped on the tracks, didn't care where it took her, didn't care who watched where it took her. And that's and basically everybody assumed it's like, well, dude, she went that way. Why aren't we all going that way? So everybody followed along. And therein lies the fucking problem. Nobody thinks to themselves. Now, I can be looked at the same way. Like, for the longest time, I straight up said, nobody's going to allow my fat ass on television. I can honestly say, like, I said that to a close friend. Like, we talked one time about Miami Ink. Yeah. Like, because at that time, that was what the hot shit was.
Right.
Miami Ink.
Right.
And they were like, oh, so if you get asked to be on Miami Ink, you're not going to be on Miami Ink. And I looked at him, I said, dude, do you really think anybody's asking my fat ass to be on Miami Ink? No exaggeration. 3 months later, I'm on fucking Miami Ink. No joke. Like, full blown. Like, out of nowhere. I got a fucking phone call. I got 3 phone calls before I responded because I'm like, oh, this is a joke. There's no way anybody's asking me to be on Miami Ink. Mm-hmm. When I finally asked and said, yeah, it's Joe Capobianco. You guys have been calling me the last 3 weeks? Yeah, we've been trying to get in touch with you. We want you to be on the show. Who the fuck saw that coming? And then to be a fucking judge on the fucking show? It's fucking retarded. Nothing makes sense. But you do it because you think that's the direction you should go. And not for nothing, for me personally, better me than some other douchebag. Because I can name a fucking handful of them that I would want to see, representing our fucking trade.
Yeah.
But the fact is, like, it's just this fucked up world we live in that people want to see stuff like just thrown at them. Mm-hmm. For what? Like, what are you getting out of it? Go live your life, man. Go get tattooed. Why do you got to watch a television show?
Yeah, and the biggest the biggest thing is back when you would see a tattoo and you would stare at it, you would look at it, you would look at the shading, the lines, whatever it may be, and you literally looked at it because it would be like somebody hand painting something, and you'd appreciate it for what it was at face value. Versus now, where it's like a machine that spits out different pictures every 2 seconds, and you're just looking like, your head's going by into you like, oh, that looks cool. Oh, that looks cool. You know.
The one thing with our television show, when we did the TV show, we had some, like, all 3 seasons we had really talented individuals. Mm-hmm. The one thing that we tried to push versus Ink Master was individuality, mm-hmm. like, and personal style. Like, to me, if I brought you a picture of Freddy Krueger, and we keep bringing Freddy Krueger back.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But if I brought you a picture of Freddy Krueger and you a picture of Freddy Krueger, I wasn't gonna vote on the one that looked most like the photo. I was gonna vote most on the one that looked like somebody did it.
Right.
You don't understand? I want to see individuality. Like, I mean, my entire career has been based on individuality. I don't ever want to be brought a piece of reference and have to reproduce it. A, because I'm entirely too fucking lazy. B, I am entirely too fucking, I guess, self-centered and fucking egotistical to want to reproduce a photograph. I want to do what I do, and that's it. I want people to recognize what it is that I do. I just got a phone call from Jimmy Litwalk. I just hung up on him. Sorry, Jimmy. I guess that would have been good for the podcast. We could have talked to Jimmy, talking to you.
We can always set up another one, man. It's always good talking to you about this. But like you were saying, everyone, you appreciate individuality versus just people reiterating something.
About. I mean, I love what Nico does, and that's like my hands. Like, I love what Nico does. Like, when I first decided to get this hand done, I had two trains of thoughts. I want to do what I do. I want to see the things that I do, like my drawings on my hand. But I don't want my drawing on my hand. So I have to find somebody who draws like me. Who does that? You know what I mean? And that's and I don't mean to sound egotistical and fucking self-centered, whatever. That's not my intention right now. But I want what looks unique, what looks like somebody, not just anybody. You know what I mean? And then the opposite end of the spectrum was, well, I'm a huge fan of traditional pinup art. I'm a huge fan of George Petty, Gil Elvgren, Alberta Varga. Who do I want to go with? And it literally came down to, well, if I'm looking to get something reproduced, and I don't mean to put Nico down, but if I'm looking to get something reproduced, Nico's the guy. He's the guy I know that if I go to, he's going to do what I want. And I know Nico very well, so I reached out to him. I said, hey, man, like, this is what I want to do. Are you interested in doing it? Oh, fuck yeah, come out. So I did. And I sent him a bunch of photos. I sent him like 8 different pictures. It was like, I honestly, I think at that point it was only Gil Elvgren girls and George Petty girls. And George Petty, in my opinion, not that I consider him a better traditional pinup artist, but George Petty to me has a very unique individual style. Like it's George Petty. It doesn't look like anybody but George Petty. So I went with that and I said, yeah, man, let's do this. You know, and not for nothing, that's exactly what Nico did. He did a beautiful pinup. When I got my other hand done, I'm like, well, I don't want a reproduction. I want somebody who brings something to the table, somebody who's got balls, that when they put them down on the fucking table, you know who it is.
Right.
And realistically, man, James Tex. James Tex is a fucking amazing tattooer. He is tremendous talent. He is all him. Like, if he does a Japanese dragon, a mermaid, a fucking pinup, whatever the fuck he does, it's James Tex. And to me, that was as important as what Nico did. Like, Nico reproduced something, James Tex brought himself. And that was it. That's why I went that direction. And I don't want to say that means more to me than what Nico did, but it kind of means more to me what Nico did. Like, I love what James did to me because James did what he does. Like, it looks like something he did, and that's a huge thing, you know.
My friend, we are going on 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah,
we can go. Well, see, I can go forever, man. I love talking to you. I love nerding out, and more importantly, I love like Josh actually just said something. He goes, "You probably don't remember, but you did a voodoo evil woman on my hand years back, and nothing but respect for you, brother." The main thing is, man, is like I hope to get you and a few other artists maybe down the line that would love to talk together. I'm planning on going out there. Finally paid off my car, so I actually have extra revenue. But the thing is your honesty, man. That's one thing I've always admired you as. I admired you first as an artist, as a tattooer, and then I've come to admire you as a person and as a peer and friend. And honestly, every time you speak, man, you speak with validation and conviction, and that's the one thing that I feel that lacks too much, especially in this industry. And it is late as shit for you over there right now, and I know you're a working man. But anytime, Joe, that you want to come on, man, anytime that you want to talk, I am always here, brother, and I appreciate you making the time, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to do this.
Anytime.
Didn't really talk much about the. Well, we talked about schools, but it was cool. I really appreciate everything. Everybody on the Instagram here, you know, way cool. Yeah, man. Next time we get to do something, next time some dumb shit rolls down the fucking pipe, let's talk.
Well, if you know a few artists and friends that you'd like to get into like an actual conversation about something, dude, you always hit me up and we'll do it.
Fucking group of dumbass fucking shit talking assholes. Yeah, let's fucking line that shit up because that'll be a fucking round robin a nightmare.
If you have them close to you, I can always fly out there and do a special episode down there because I do want to go to the shop. But if not, we can always set it up via Skype and we'll make it a whole night.
Definitely be cool to do something.
Cool. Awesome, man. Thank you so much, Joe. I hope you have a good night. Thank you to your wife for putting up with me stealing you away. And you have a good night, brother, okay?
Yeah, you too, man. Take care of yourself.
Later, man.